Nevin. What's up, dude?
What's going on, bro? Good to be back.
Dude, it's good to have you here, man. Thank you for the Miller Lite.
Of course, cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Keeps the fucking hamster on the wheel.
Yes, sir.
It sucks having you back on right now because there's just not a ton going on.
Yeah, I know, right? What could we talk about?
There's not a lot going on in the world. Dude, we were just talking about this before we started, but the idea to me that, like, genuinely, like, no jokes, like, genuinely, that Kristi Noem was the first one to go, like, it's not surprising, right? Because obviously the public sentiment is so anti-ICE and so DHS and anti-DHS, and some of it for good reason. Obviously, some of it for good reason. But, like, it's just showing how compromised the administration is.
Well, they got her because she was on the Epstein files, right?
What?
That's why.
Are you fucking around?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, there's no way that bitch. But
yeah, no, that's the only thing he's done, really. So it's like, it's crazy.
Like, you would, like, objectively, like, if you were to throw Thomas Massey in there, if he was the guy running the show, but Trump was just gone, he would fire the whole fucking cabinet.
Yeah. I think he'd get rid of basically everyone in government.
Yeah, with the exception of, like, maybe RFK. I think
Paul.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about just, like, cabinet members.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Bondi, gone. Kash Patel, back to 7-Eleven. Like, Pete Hegseth, back to the fraternity. Like, True. They would all be gone. And I talk about this sometimes with my buddies every now and again. And what I keep going back to is, if you were to tell me, not even all the way back in like 2015 or 2016, if you were to tell me in September to December of 24, this is where we're at, I would have called you a fucking liar.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like, for real?
Dude, ever since COVID, it's been like a nonstop just train of, you don't know what's coming next.
Yeah.
Like COVID happened, everything got locked down. It seems like time has been going faster. Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels weird.
Yeah. Well, I just think also we're getting older.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it too. There is a bit of personal experience with that. But I mean, I don't know, man. Something happened during COVID, and, a lot of people were saying this at the time, and they're sounding like kooks, but I think it's mostly true. Like, at this point, it's because that's what COVID is, what made me kind of fall off of the, like, supporting Trump. And then that's why I didn't vote in the 2020 election. And then just the Democrats in power, I was just like, okay, well, obviously Trump is going to run again, and we can't have this shit continue. Like, this is bad. Like, this is, like, actually detrimental to the, like, sure, there's some issues with Trump's first term, and yeah, they're all mad about him saying naughty words on Twitter, and okay, whatever.
Well, and you really wonder, like, would it have been different? Because it was still during his term when they pushed it out, when it was approved, and they were starting to push it out. Right. So do you think he still would have been like, oh yeah, taking everything that Fauci said, and basically had the Biden COVID situation just with Trump as president?
Yeah. Improvised Intelligence is sponsored by the amazing people over at Chop Chili. If you've been a long time listener to the podcast, you know that this is my favorite brand of chili here in New Mexico. Pretty much put it on every meal that I can. They've got red chili, green chili. My personal favorite is this blend of the red and the green. I think this stuff is phenomenal. They also have frozen bags of green chili that you can order directly from their website at chopchilico.com. You can also find them in stores around the state of New Mexico at Sprouts, Albertsons, Farmers Country Market, John Brooks, Keller's Farm Store, Lowe's Market. You can also find them in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Hobbs, Gallup, Tucumcari, and for all my friends in Texas, they are in El Paso. Again, chopchilico.com. Go get yourself some amazing chili. Now back to the podcast. So I see what you're asking. And so just to button up that first part, that's why I fell off of Trump. And like during that election season, I was like, oh, this guy just locked down the fucking country. Like he instituted light authoritarianism in America. Like, I can't support this again. Like, this isn't good. But if Trump gets elected again and gets us through COVID, he has to go through COVID, right? How different would it have been? I am not sure. I don't even think it would. I mean, I don't think it would have been different, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, I think maybe, I'm trying to think about this, because the big ending, the for me anyway, the finale of COVID was Biden giving Fauci the pardon, right? That was the big one. So because the pharmaceutical companies didn't get, because they were given, I forget what it was called, but they wrote some law where it was like no vaccine injuries, or no vaccine injury lawsuits can be like brought forward against the pharmaceutical companies. You're basically not allowed to sue for vaccine injuries. I want to say that happened under Biden. So, yeah, it did. No, maybe it was Trump. Was it Biden? I don't know. But either way, the finale of it was the pardons. Do I think Trump would have... I don't think Trump would have pardoned... I think Trump might have fired Fauci. Not for any good reason, just for his own ego. The same thing we're looking at Kristi Noem. Like, if he were to have it her way, he would have kept her around. If for nothing else, she's a nice thing to look at. Like, let's be perfectly honest. Like, that's how Trump's brain operates. True. Right? He only fired Kristi Noem because of the public sentiment, and he needs to... I'm sure what happened is either J.D. Vance or Caroline Leavitt, because I don't think he talks to his staffers at all, if he even has a whole lot anymore. Because he famously got rid of... he got rid of lobbyists, or like personal close-knit lobbyists and staffers in his first term. So I don't know how many staffers he has. But I'd imagine either Caroline Leavitt or J.D. Vance went to Trump privately and was like, hey, we need a win. Like, we need to do something to turn the tide because, I mean, they've already lost the midterms. Like, we're already in March. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, we're already in March of 26. So they've lost the midterms, but they need to do something. Like, they need some kind of win. The country isn't loving what's going on with ICE and DHS. You've already pulled out of Minneapolis. They're winding down. We need a win. Let's fire Kristi Noem. I forget what department they put her in, but let's put her somewhere else. We'll get this other guy in there that nobody's even heard of. And whatever issues come with that, we'll deal with it. But we need an easy win. So, like, transfer that to Fauci. Right, I think he would have ended up firing Fauci just because of how pissed people were.
Just transfer the blame a little bit.
Not even that, just trying to get the heat off of transfer the blame from Trump to Fauci. Yes, yeah. Totally.
But the thing is he would still definitely back like the vaccine of it because I mean, just look at everything like that's happened so far, right? Like he ran on all this stuff of the Epstein files and you know exposing all these people in government and draining the swamp or whatever. But anytime that anyone's called him out on it, he just like is like, oh, you're not part of my following anymore.
Well, that's the crazy thing is, so Trump's 2016 run or his campaign up to 2016, it's drain the swamp, right? And the only mention of Epstein is Bill Clinton's going to have a hard time. That's all he says on that campaign trail.
That's 2016.
Yeah, as 2015 going into 16. That's all he says about it. Like, he throws, like, anything, like, scandalous, he's throwing at Hillary is all about Bill. Like, remember during that debate when he brought, like, all the fucking women that were accusing him of rape and all that? And then you go forward into this last campaign, because there really wasn't a whole lot of talk about it in 2020. Obviously, it was all COVID. And in 2023 into 24, he doesn't really talk a lot about Epstein. He talks about how bad the Democrats are. He talks about the, men and women's sports. He's talking about stuff like that. I did find it funny they never mentioned, like, either party never mentions COVID because they both know they're tainted by it, right? Yeah. So they can't use COVID on each other because they both fucked it up. But the only time he ever really mentions Epstein is like 2 or 3 interviews where he's talking and the reporter goes, if you're reelected, would you release all the Epstein files? And he kind of pauses for a second when he goes, yeah, I think I would. Mm-hmm. But that's the most that he says about it. The big staple Epstein moment on the campaign trail was his son, Don Jr., when they were doing, I think it was a Turning Point event. And Don Jr.'s up there and he goes, I can't believe that my father has these 47 felonies, but not one person in the Epstein files has been blah, blah, blah. And then that got captured and then rightfully so attached to the campaign and they go off with it.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, go.
No, just real quick, I'm saying none of that to excuse anything. I just think it's important to bring that up because then when you get into the presidency this go around, just the massive fuck up of handling that. Like, and I'm sure we're going to get into that, but just the massive, like, I just say that to juxtapose that, like, when rubber hits the road, they fuck all of it up.
And I did see an interview, kind of, it might have been the one that you're talking about, but in the question that they asked the Epstein files and the JFK files.
Yeah.
So they put them together, and he's like, yeah, we're definitely going to release the files. JFK for sure. We're going to look into the Epstein, see if we could release those. So like you're saying, he never really gives I'll have to look and really see if he ever says yes, we're going to really release these files or not.
Now, obviously, I didn't read all of the JFK files. I just didn't sit down and do that. I don't have time to do that. I didn't even read all the Epstein files. I just literally ran as fast as I could. Read as fast as I could. But what I thought was interesting about the Epstein files is nothing really came out about it. You know what I mean? Like, you would imagine that some people that were about it, that are into this, that not into this shit, but have the time to, they get paid to do this. Like, they have massive YouTube channels or they're journalists or whatever. Not a lot came out about. The most interesting thing about the JFK files that I remember anyway is that in the same breath the JFK files got released, the MLK files got released. But there's nothing big that came out of it. I was kind of disappointed with that. I'll be honest.
It also had no ties to Israel.
Yeah. Yeah. Why did I not think of that? Yeah, there was no. Well, okay. Let's play devil's advocate. Okay. Did your fucking vape just make a noise?
Or the microphone. I don't know what happened.
Suck that shit again.
It's Mossad.
Dude, your vape is fucking bugged. Let me see that. I'm not going to hit it because I'm terrified of getting addicted to these. Geek bar. Yeah, I don't know about this shit, dude. This shit scares me. Anyway, that scares
recording devices and everything, bro. I wouldn't have done it.
Fuck. Oh my god. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. So because we play devil's advocate in the '60s. I just need to brush up on my history a little bit more, but what was JFK's big thing with opposing the state of Israel was that he knew nuclear weapons were in development, so he wanted to get the IARA or the I whatever the International Atomic something Association to get their inspectors in there. He wanted that, and then he wanted I know he wanted a two-state solution, and then because Camp David didn't come until after that, right? Right, Camp David was right after Reagan.
Honestly, I'm not sure about that one. Honestly,
I want to say the Camp David Accords came after Reagan. I'll look it up really quick, but it is interesting if just getting nuclear inspectors would be something to get them fucking taken out over. So the 1978 Camp David Accords were historic secret agreements brokered by U.S. President Jimmy Carter. Yeah, between
so 78 would be after.
Yeah, it's way after. Yeah, and that's after. And then so it's before Reagan. Between Carter and Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin. I don't fucking Jews. They established framework for peace directly leading to the 1979 Egypt-Israel peace treaty. Which is where we basically pay them money every year to not fucking hit Israel.
So that's probably not related to the JFK thing then.
No, but so I'm just curious as to what my whole question I'm asking is why would they have?
So I know that. So I know that he didn't like the way that they were treating Palestinians because ever since 48 and before then, they've been, settling and, basically just taking over land. And
since the Balfour Declaration.
Yeah, so he wasn't okay with that, basically. And so he kept speaking out about that. Israel didn't like that, basically. They were stealing our uranium and basically our knowledge on how to build a nuclear facility.
That's right.
JFK found out about it and he was pissed off, so he said that he was going to go investigate it. They set up this whole fake nuclear program, and
that's right.
And they were.
See, I'm running at 5 RPMs right now.
Yeah,
so
and basically they were saying it's not going to be a nuclear program, whatever. That was all fake. He also AIPAC was a big thing. He wanted them to register under FARA.
That's right. Correct. Right.
And they didn't like that. So it's a combination
of
all
those things. Which is the Foreign Aid Registration Act, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a combination of all those things. That'll get you killed.
Yeah. But what? Okay, so
I guess he was in support of the two-state solution.
Okay, so now we know the why. What evidence would have been documented at that point? You know what I mean? That's the big thing. Because I remember thinking about it at the time. I don't think there were any Israel connections because they were hiding it necessarily. Mm-hmm. It's just because what would have been there.
Yeah, I mean, as far as all the nuclear stuff is recorded, with the CIA and all that stuff, that's recorded through their documents.
See, and that's what I was going to bring up about the Epstein files, is that in the same way that the DOJ got ordered to release files, and they haven't released all of them yet, and a lot of them are redacted, I understand that, but that same kind of act needs to be impressed upon the CIA. Because we're never going to get what Mossad has, obviously.
True.
That's just not going to happen. Mossad will, Mossad will dismantle, burn to the ground, get exploded, whatever. All of that will happen before we get their files. Mm-hmm. That's never going to happen. And then in 2007 and 2018, right before, as the respective Epstein investigations were happening, the Epstein estate was notified that, hey, old boy's getting investigated. We need all of your documents from the New York estate. And then after that, it was the New York estate, the Florida estate, and the Virgin Islands estates, respectively, right?
Well, when did he first get
07.
It was 07?
In 07. So what happened is when he was... I'm sorry, I misspoke there. So in 07, he only got arrested and investigated in Florida. So the local Justice Department of Florida contacted his estate and was like, hey, he's getting investigated and arrested. We need all these documents. So they got a heads up about it. So it's assumed, and I think assumed correctly, that when that happened, they nuked documents right there, right? Any crazy stuff. Because personally, my thought process has been okay, well, if this is a little bit of playing devil's advocate, but if this was happening, right? And now we all know it was, but if Epstein was kidnapping, trafficking, grooming, children, preteens, teens, young adults for his own pleasure and then his associates, let's put it that way, right? To cover everybody, people that associated with him. And then his ulterior motive, other than throwing these banger parties apparently, was that we know now that all of his estates were videoed and bugged. So he has this ulterior motive because he worked with Mossad, and I think that's a pertinent distinction then for Mossad.
Right, yeah.
He worked with them.
Yeah, he worked for a bunch of different countries, right. Mossad, but it was all for Israel.
Yeah, Mossad, MI6, CIA, all those guys, right. So if his ulterior motive is to then be able to blackmail various people in the American government, the French government, the British government on behalf of Israel, if that's his ulterior motive, then obviously the easiest way of blackmail is going to be the videotapes.
Right.
Therefore,
they exist.
The best piece of evidence that these people are doing these things aren't going to be a bunch of fucking emails. It's going to be the videotapes.
Right. Which Pam Bondi said there was tons, and then she said, oh no, they were just actual child porn that was just sent.
Downloaded.
Yeah,
right.
Downloaded, sent.
Right. So, I think, personally, that in 07, they nuked most, because you still need the blackmail. Mm-hmm. I think they nuked most of the video. I don't think footage of Epstein assaulting children exists. Personally, I don't think that exists anymore. It did at one point, but I don't think it exists at all anymore. I think that's gone, deleted, whatever. And then I think they get rid of in 2007 and then 2018 when he's getting investigated both times. I think they got rid of all of the blackmail they felt they didn't need anymore. Right? Mm-hmm. So, because you still need the blackmail. That's the issue. So, I think Mossad is holding on to the footage of Trump. Mm-hmm. Like, Trump, Prince Andrew, the Clintons, Gates, Musk. Well, actually, Musk didn't even go, apparently.
Yeah. He wasn't cool enough.
Yeah. But all those guys, right? I think they're holding on to that footage. And so that's why we'll never see any of that. And I think any CP that they did pull from those files is just stuff that either low level, or not low level, but like low level as in not as big as President Trump, but like blackmail on fucking like Bill Gates,
CEOs,
and like Peter Thiel, all those guys. Or not Peter Thiel, or maybe Peter Thiel, but the other guy, the holistic doctor guy that was on Rogan and got a job at CBS, Peter Attia.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he just resigned, right?
Yeah, like those guys, right? Yeah. I think that blackmail is either deleted or held on to by Mossad, and that's why we'll never see any of that. And then any of the stuff that is on the collection of whatever that the DOJ has, I think the vast majority of it, because they clearly, I mean, they might have, but I don't know. They might have gone through all the files, but I think the footage that they have is just dirty shit that old boy got from like the dark web, personally.
I mean, they definitely have to have something on Trump, right?
We don't.
No, I know. We like how you're saying. Like Mossad probably does.
Mossad.
But
well, that was
there. Do you think there's actually footage?
Yes. Because
Epstein's relationship with Trump, right? It was like I think he said he only knew him for like 17 years, and then after the 2007, he like stopped his relationship with him, right. Whatever. But like Ivanka Trump, he met her through Epstein. Yep. His first wife, same thing, also died kind of weird.
How'd she die?
A fall or something like that. Yeah.
Like Trevor Moore fell out of a building?
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, just like a bunch of weird shit. I don't know.
So that was the running theory about a month and a half ago, was that Trump was approached by Netanyahu and he was like, hey, you're going to bomb Iran. Okay, that's just what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do that, then we're going to release the videos that we have of you. And then somebody from Iran, now probably dead now after the bombings, but somebody from Iran went to Trump and was like, hey, listen, if you bomb us, we're going to release the footage. And now, obviously, most of the leadership in Iran is dead now. Mm-hmm. So who knows if that's even possible? Because how many people, like if you're president of whatever country and you have blackmail on a major president from another country, how many people are you going to tell out of your inner circle or out of your administration that we have these things? And so that's probably that. The Iran option is probably gone. Mm-hmm. So now it's just Israel and Mossad that holds it. But I think...
And I think they could have, like, with this Iran thing, that could be a reason why we bombed them first. But there's been other reasons to why.
There's a lot. There are. I think. Well, I think
because like they've threatened nukes, they've threatened over bombing and shit like that. So like us bombing first could have been a way to like control it, or to make sure they didn't go too overboard, basically.
Well, I think the reason we bombed Iran is like just broad strokes is the Greater Israel Project,
for sure.
But like, I think the probability that Trump actually assaulted a minor, I used to think it was like 5%. Like, I really doubt it because he never gave me the impression. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Bill Gates, you look at Stephen Hawking if he was mobile.
Yeah.
Like, you look at those guys and you're like, oh, yeah, you definitely like, if not little kids, you probably fucked a 15-year-old and liked it. Like, that's probably a thing. But with Trump, dude, like,
and he has so many things. Like I like him young or whatever,
Yeah, well, there's some testimony in there from witnesses that are alleged, like that were in a court of law under perjury, that were saying some wild shit. Now, anonymously, they want to fucking, like, you see that one file where, like, this woman got threatened that, like, if they said anything, Jeffrey Epstein was going to burn her house down and, like, kill her family and shit like that. So, obviously, they're staying anonymous. But, because the one thing, I will say this, I will say this, and I'm not making excuses or running cover or anything like that. The one thing I will say that is kind of flimsy, and the one thing that worries me about this is that they didn't add the timestamps of when these tips were put in. But there's a section of the Epstein files where it looks like, and I'm sure it was at some point, an Excel spreadsheet, and it's for this tip hotline that the FBI had set up called the InTalk, I think. Right? I think it's called the InTalk. Let me look it up. I want to get this right because I think this is really, really important. Yeah. Okay. So it's the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, and basically what it is it is a anonymous tip line that you can use it right now. Like, we could call the number and be like, "Hey, I want to make an anonymous tip. We think blank is going to happen at blank at this time, or this is something that I know about that you need to look into." Blah blah blah. And you don't give your identity if you don't want to. You don't, like, they don't like ask, like, how do you know this? Or you just submit tips. So from a few sources I was reading, before I go into that. So in the Epstein files, there is documentation from the InTalk. It's like 5 or 7 pages long. And it says, like, what the tip is, like the description of what the person said, who it involves, and whatever, and like any follow-up the FBI tried to do with the caller, shit like that. Mm-hmm. And from a couple of sources that I've been reading and watching, is a lot of tips involving Trump and Epstein and the assaulting of minors. Like, there was like a real one that went viral when this last drop came out, where it was saying that, like, there was a bunch of girls between the ages of like 11 and 13 years old, and Trump, Ghislaine, Epstein, Don Jr., Ivanka Trump was there. I think Musk was there too, where they're like parading these girls around naked, and Trump was testing them for their tightness and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that was in the InTalk thing. And a lot of those tips, and what's crazy is they don't add any of the, like, when these tips were submitted, but a lot of these tips were submitted during the 2020 election.
That's what I was going to ask you.
So it's like, how real is any of that? How verifiable is any of that? But then on the other hand, again, there are anonymous but witness testimonies under the threat of perjury where they're saying, that these horrible things happened by Trump and Epstein, like, together, specifically on a couple of girls. And then, like, one of them, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've read it. It was Trump had I'm totally fucking blanking on it right now. It was Trump assaulting like a 13-year-old, and how, like, it was during like a massage at the New York estate, and Trump was wearing a robe or something like that, and then Trump like forced himself on this girl and like hit her a couple of times and all this kind of crazy shit. And what I think about too sometimes is, so you have like all of that, and then I think about how apparently in like 2004 or 2003, Trump had tipped off the FBI and was like, "Hey, you guys need to look into this fucking Epstein." Maybe it was 2008. I don't know. But like, "Hey, you need to look into this Epstein dude. He's doing some ugly shit. All this is happening, blah, blah, blah." And Trump is running on that when I came out in the news like 2 months ago. And he's like, "See, I didn't do it. Like, it was all these things." And it's like, okay, maybe, maybe this is foolish. Okay. A part of me wants to give him the benefit of the doubt. Part of him is like, okay, maybe he did find out about the crazy shit, and he was like, whoa, I thought we were just fucking like 19-year-olds. Like, what are we doing
yeah.
here? I thought we were just banging 20-year-olds. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's legal. Like, I thought we were getting young trim. What's going on? And then he finds out about all the girls, and he tips them. Okay, kicks him out of Mar-a-Lago because he stole the chick from him, and okay, that's a possibility. Or he had a little bit of too much of post-nut clarity, realized the ugliness he got himself into. He's like, okay, I need to run cover for myself and do like a CYA kind of thing.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't.
I think regardless of like whether we have, official, because like you said, they're all tips. And I did kind of, when all that was coming out when he was running, I kind of dismissed a lot of that stuff because, it's like, he's running for president. People are trying to, discredit him and trying to make him look like a rapist or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that makes sense. So it doesn't seem as believable, especially with the amount of them were coming. There was like 19 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, at the time it was just like, it just seems like, especially, and then he had just gotten with the courts, like they took all his money, all the courts were against him.
Well,
so
the felonies they're bringing against him were bullshit.
Right.
Like, they were absolute, total bullshit. And look, I'm not a misogynist. I'm really not. But Stormy Daniels should have kept her fucking mouth shut if she's a good woman. You know what? No, for real. You go fuck a billionaire and the guy pays you money to shut up about it. That seems like a transactional deal. Now, do you get into the logistics of, okay, is that prostitution? Right. Is that soliciting sex? Like, you have that argument all you want. Like, if that comes out in court, like if all of that was happening and then Trump's wife finds out about it and then it finds its way to court that way, it's like, okay, I totally get it. Like, okay, you can litigate whether or not that's prostitution or whatever. But clearly Stormy Daniels got paid from another source to come out and be like, hey, we know you made this verbal and cash deal with Trump, but you're going to basically back out of it, even though you've received the money, even though you've whatever. So now they're going to count 37 of these checks that he's paid her as some kind of felony. Right. And then they're going to get him on like, what was it? He knowingly,
like participated in like not forgery, but
it was the misappraisal of his estate. It's like no millionaires or billionaires do that. And then who's to say what's the misappraisal?
Right.
It's what the market dictates. If I go to you and you're some like Ninja Turtle fanatic, and I'm like, hey Nevin, listen, this thing is this is a cherry piece right here. I will sell this to you for $150. But I know good and well this is going on the aftermarket for $60. But what if you pay that $150?
Right.
Well, now the aftermarket is dictating this is worth $150 on the top end. That's all that means. So, but continue. But I completely agree. It's bullshit.
But so like, I was kind of discrediting that stuff. And like now looking back on it, just look at his connection with Glazane. Like even after he, separated himself from Epstein, he was still like, Glazane is my girl, helped her through the divorce, all that type of stuff. And like always, even still to this day is like that's my girl basically. And then still always hosted all these like child, pageants, beauty pageants, all this stuff. It's like, a little weird, and then when you put it all together with Epstein's relationship, and it's just like, well, do you think he did it or not, And it's like, maybe he got the 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds. And maybe one time he got a 14, 15-year-old that looked like one, Yeah,
it's just, I don't.
And then laws are different in different countries, Well, how do you know if you fly to France or something like that where stuff's younger and over there it's legal, but you come over here and it's not. Well,
all the allegations happen in the States,
right? I'm just saying like the clientele and stuff like that, like all these it comes from a lot of like this weird French stuff, but if we get into the weird pedophile stuff with what the fuck's their name of France, the fucking dude.
Brigitte Macron,
you
think she's got a dick?
I think she does.
You've been listening to Candace Owens?
I think she has a dick, dude.
Well, didn't Candace Owens get beat in court about that?
No, they went to court.
Yeah, didn't she get beat?
No, they just went to court, so they said that they went to court. So they could say that they sued her and say that that's on file, basically.
Yeah, but I thought she had to drop her allegations or whatever.
I think she did have to drop it, but I'll have to look into why. But it was more of of just like, we're suing you just to say we're suing.
Because I listened to her first episode on that shit, and I was like, okay, this is gonna go one of two ways. Either it's going to blow over and it's not a big deal, or it's going to be everywhere. And I'll wait on that one.
Yeah, we're going to see how it comes out, if it even keeps continuing. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on.
And then, not to sound like an asshole, but that's how I feel now about the Charlie Kirk thing.
Yeah.
Is like, I was every fucking day that she put out an episode on Charlie Kirk's assassination, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to, like, because like, at the time, the first like 2 months, I'd say, I was like, you know what? She's definitely going through it, and I think she still is. God bless this woman. But I think she's going through a grieving process.
Yeah.
And, if I was some giant influential person like Kirk, and I was killed in any kind of way, let alone one of the most horrific public killings in our modern age, like that's up there with Kennedy, dude. Like it's just fucking
just ugly. In front of our eyes.
Yeah, we all saw it, right? Ugly, ugly shit. If that happened to me, I hope that I have one friend that's like, you know what? It wasn't the furry fucker. Yep. It was, we're going to figure out who it was and whatever. But then when she started getting to like the Egyptian planes and like, why was Erica Kirk meeting with this like Ukrainian, fighter in Arizona? Yeah. And now she's doing a whole series on Erica. I'm just like, you're milking this for views.
Yeah, a little bit, I think so. I think she laid out a ton of really good evidence for the Charlie Kirk thing. I think it's like, if you watch her stuff, it doesn't make any sense, the official narrative.
Well, I don't believe the Tyler Robinson narrative.
Yeah.
I'll make that very clear.
Right.
She lost me when she started doing all this wild shit.
Because, like you said, like if she does have all these answers, like just release them, and she's done it like kind of strategically, where she'll like keep an answer.
Oh yeah, because it's a reality show,
right? And then she'll wait for like them to respond or whatever, and then she'll catch them in the response.
I was gonna say
that happened once, really.
I was gonna say she caught Turning Point in 2 really good lies. I will give her that.
Yeah,
and that was the 4D chess. Like that was.
But like right now, it's like, well, what are you still holding on to? It's like, right. I don't even know if she's still really. I don't think there's much left to expose about the Kirk situation. I think now that's why she's going after Erica. Yeah, because it's just like she's trying to expose like, why is Erica acting like this? Because she's not acting normal. You know?
But being a bad PR person is not illegal. It's just tasteless.
Yeah, but where are her kids, bro?
What do you mean?
Like, she hasn't been with her kids at all. Like, I'd keep or like Charlie Kirk's parents. You haven't heard anything from them.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. After Charlie Kirk gets murdered, don't you think it is the correct course of action to keep the parents out of the limelight, to keep the kids out of the limelight? And now that she is, personally, I think, self-appointed to be the CEO of Turning Point, she has to be out there.
But don't you think the appropriate reaction to that would not be going on like a tour and taking over the company and like not really investigating into it? Like she's ignoring all these obvious things.
So that's what I'm saying, is being a bad PR person is not good.
I don't think that's PR. I think she controls everything.
What is she controlling?
I think she's controlling well, first of all, how she acts. I don't think there's anyone telling her how to act.
And if they are, they're doing it very poorly.
Well, but okay, so why would they tell her to? I mean, I guess yes, for sure. They want her to like act in favor of Israel and all this type of stuff. But like, why would they? Why would she be acting like this? Like not wanting to see your kids? Like literally just going on this big tour. It doesn't make much sense.
Well, they have to do rebranding.
But why does it have to be her?
Because she's the wife.
She could just go and be a widow.
Well, because but who else in Turning Point is famous? Because think about it like
this. Why do they have to be famous?
Well, think about it because they have to carry the torch of Charlie Kirk.
All they have to do is carry his message,
right?
Which she's not doing.
Okay, right. I agree. But think about it like this: half of this is me playing devil's advocate. So when he gets murdered, the first 48 hours after that, what are people saying? His wife, his kids. Think about his wife. Think about his kids. They're without a husband, without a father. That's what everyone's thinking about. Nobody's thinking about the podcast co-hosts. Nobody's thinking about the pastors that are associated with Turning Point. It's the family. So, excuse me, Jesus Christ. Shows how much beer I don't drink anymore. So, everyone's thinking about Erica already, intrinsically. And then she releases that statement in the podcast studio where she's like standing next to the chair and all that. So I think the logical move, personally, if I was running Turning Point, like if I was able to chessboard it myself, I would be like, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do. This lady's the new face of Turning Point because she's the only one of age that carries the Kirk last name, A. B, everyone's thinking about her already. She's already on the hearts and minds of our supporters as it is, right? However, while you are going to be the face, you've never ran a business. And apparently when you did, it was in the fucking Romania and you lost a couple of kids.
Yeah. Okay. What about that?
That's weird. That's strange. But you don't know how to run a business, so we're not gonna put you in charge of like any. You're not making decisions, bitch. Like you're gonna be a pageant girl again, and you're gonna let the men and everybody else run it. But that's why I think they did that personally. Now, everything else that follows, I think, is a mixture of hubris and again horrible PR. Because I don't know if you saw this or not. But they deleted all of Charlie's podcasts.
Yeah, before he died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why would they do that?
I think that's in connection to the Iran war because he was openly against. He was a non-interventionist.
Mm-hmm.
So I think getting rid of all of that and it is because of the Iran war. But again, I don't think Erica has done anything criminal. Personally.
No, yeah, I don't think
there's any evidence that she did anything criminal.
Yeah, I don't know if she's like part of the plan of getting him assassinated. No. You know,
we don't have anything that says that definitively.
Yeah, no way. But I don't know. All I'm saying is she's acting weird.
Oh yeah, but being weird isn't criminal.
No, but it's suspicious, and we have the right to look into it. Like,
I agree.
You know,
I agree. But that's why I stopped listening to Candace. I was like, okay,
yeah.
If she finds something out, it's gonna make waves.
Yeah, they're talking about her Erica's mom right now. About like
you're listening to all of it.
Yep. And
well, okay. I will say it's very strange that her dad worked for the Israel division of what, Raytheon, right, or Northrop Grumman, one of those.
One of those.
That's weird,
dude. It's just a bunch of weird connections. You get into all these weird connections about how these families have been presidents and stuff like that. Like Donald Trump, like how his uncle inherited all of Tesla's like missing boxes and shit like that.
Boxes of what?
All of his inventions, like all of his, I don't know, shit that all the like energy efficient stuff that, you know, like all the theories that Tesla had.
Oh, like Nikola Tesla.
Nikola
like
Tesla,
actual,
yes, Nikola Tesla.
Okay.
So Donald Trump's uncle inherited all of Tesla's inventions, basically.
Hang on.
We're going to look this up.
Yes. Did Donald Trump's uncle inherit Tesla's invention?
And there were some missing boxes that never came back.
Okay, so this is according to Google's AI. Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, did not inherit Nikola Tesla's inventions, but he was tasked by the FBI to examine them immediately after Tesla's death in 1943. As an MIT professor, John Trump reviewed the papers and equipment to determine if they pose a national security risk, concluding they held no dangerous, workable, or key technologies. Key details. So after Nikola Tesla died in 1943, the Office of Alien Property took custody of his belongings. John G. Trump, a respected electrical engineer, was called in for a 3-day evaluation of the papers. John Trump reported that the materials were speculative, philosophical, and somewhat promotional, containing no workable methods or principles for new technologies like, quote, death rays.
How convenient.
The documents were not kept by John Trump but were returned to the custody of the AOP.
And look up if there's any missing that never came back.
Okay, so let's see. So John G. Trump, missing Tesla items. I'm not seeing anything.
Come on, let me see.
I'm not seeing anything, yeah.
But anyways, it still goes back. I'll have to look it up. But it definitely goes. It's weird, like how all of these families like end up kind of ruling shit, and they. I don't know. It's just weird. You know how these family names kind of keep coming up in history.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, he looked over all his stuff. Yeah, I'm not finding anything crazy about that, but that is strange. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, okay, so I guess, and we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's worth asking in the context of everything that's going on right now. Are you voting in 2028?
No, I'm never voting again, dude. Fuck the system. It doesn't work. Fucking Israel rules everything. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Would you vote if Thomas Massey was running for president?
Yes, but someone just sent me a video that might fucking be some weird shit about him too.
What?
So, let's see. It's a branch of Freemasonry or something like that, and how he's involved in.
I'll look it up.
Let me see.
I'll look it up real quick. So I'm just gonna look up Thomas Massey Freemasons. But what is the video you saw?
Let's see. So it basically says how he is involved in like how the human like is interacting with robots and stuff like that, and it's like some transhuman stuff, and it could be weird, could be fake, because I am a fan of Thomas Massey. I really don't want it to be true.
So,
but let me see what this is.
So Massey. So this is a tweet by someone named Jack Straw, and this happened around this time last year. It says, Massey is also a senior member of the Masonic Order of Demole and of the Crimson Shield chapter in Kentucky. And then Grok says, Thomas Massey is indeed listed as a senior member of the Order of Demole, a Crimson Shield chapter in Vanceburg, Kentucky, per a 2018 Demole post. The Order of Demole, founded in 1919 in Kansas City by Frank Land, is a Masonic youth group for boys aged 12 to 21, focused on leadership, civic duty, and virtues like fidelity. But its secretive rituals and occult ties have sparked controversy, with some alleging ties to abuse scandals for grooming for Freemasonry. Famous members include Bill Clinton and Walt Disney. And then somebody asked, let's see, is Thomas Massey okay? Okay, and that's what that was. Oh, okay, I see.
And again, I like Thomas Massey, but anyone who's like incorporated in Freemasonry, I'm just like, I'm not with it.
Let's see. There is no definitive evidence from the provided web sources that confirms U.S. mass. Oh, okay. Well, that's weird. All right, whatever. I don't know, man. We gotta have somebody.
We got to have somebody, and he's the only one really standing up for all the shit that Trump said he was going to do. So,
like, what do we, like...
That's my motto right now, is I will support you until you turn on us. You know, like Tucker, there's plenty of reasons to think that he's a Fed.
What happened with Tucker?
Well, his dad's a CIA agent.
Okay.
So it's just there's a chance, you know, just with being a part of the CIA just has a lot of influence on you, you know? Okay. And so like that, again, I like Tucker. I think what about now he's like talking about all the things that I'm standing for, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, until he reveals himself as a Fed or until he goes against everything that he's saying, I'll go with him.
Because he's going hard in the paint right now against the Iran war.
Yes.
That's not very intelligence agency based.
It's not. And so it's like, well, what would be the end game, you know? And so I don't know. It's like these intelligence agencies, they do play fucking 8D chess, dude. They're way ahead.
Yeah, but at some point you have to decide who's telling the truth.
No one's telling the truth. That's the whole point.
No, I think
the point is to confuse everybody so you don't know what's real.
I think. Okay, I'll rephrase that, because nobody can completely tell the truth. Who is being authentic? Who is saying what they actually believe? I think Tucker is.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dave Smith is. I think Fuentes is. Even how skewed he is with a few of his views. Obviously, I don't agree with, with how racist he actually is and shit like that.
I think he's probably a Fed too, but he says some stuff that's probably true.
I don't think he's a Fed. After what happened to him after January 6th, I don't think he's a Fed.
Dude, it's so suspicious with everything that happened after
January 6th. But all of his shit got shut down.
No, he's the only one that got let off. Like, he would have gone in prison, but, like, he just got let off.
Okay, yeah, he didn't get prison time, which I admit is... Well, neither did Alex Jones, and Alex Jones was there.
Right. And is he a Fed?
Oh, my God.
Ever since Sandy Hook, bro.
No.
Alex Jones is not trustable since Sandy Hook.
Because he got it wrong?
Because he had to fucking do all that shit. I don't even know if he did get it wrong, bro.
Oh, my God.
Like, why would they make you pay that much money just because you're saying something?
Well, I think that's because of all the shit he got right. And they needed and then they found the opportunity to ruin him. So they took that opportunity. That's why I don't think he's a Fed.
I think it's part of him exposing that there's a chance that all these school shootings could be set up and not authentic.
Like saying that kids didn't die?
No, in the way of it's not an authentic kid who had a mental illness and just killed all these people.
Right. Well, that's a different thing than what he was saying. He was saying that based upon he was saying that he had intelligence that there were multiple like mourners or whatever amongst the parents at multiple school shootings.
Right.
And because of that, the Sandy Hook really didn't happen the way the media is portraying it that it happened, in the way that kids didn't die. That was his argument.
Okay, so he probably got that wrong because kids definitely died. I definitely don't doubt that people actually die during these things, but I definitely think that it could be set up by the government or whatever to take away. Yeah, every single time one of these things happens, it polarizes the two sides of the country, and it moves on gun rights every single time.
So I agree with that. And I think a good example is the Austin shooting that just happened. I don't think that was an organic, dude was anti-American, pro-Iranian guy that wanted, like what? I mean, that's a dumb question to ask, but it just doesn't track to me that somebody who is pro-Iran, anti-American, would wear a I'm with Allah hoodie and then under that wear an Iranian flag shirt.
Yeah.
That doesn't track to me. And yeah, all of that just seems fetish to me. But because Alex Jones got Sandy Hook wrong, I don't think that makes him a Fed at all. I think
what makes him a Fed is that they made him pay all this money, lose his company, and now he's under their control. He literally can't do anything.
No, I think he just had organic support, and he's built his shit because he didn't lose InfoWars.
He had a rebrand.
Right, but he just lost a lot of money.
Right, I mean, he still had his following or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and he's always, covered all this shit, from the Bohemian Grove and all this stuff. And I don't know, I do notice a difference between his reporting now and then, honestly.
What I think has happened that has changed the way he acts in public recently, I think he's gotten older. First, we know that, but he's gotten older. He had a severe drinking problem.
He's also part of the anti-Muslim thing, which is definitely a Fed thing.
That's not necessarily a Fed thing, I don't think.
It's definitely a psyop. It's propaganda. I mean, it's
yes, okay, it is propaganda. Yes. But I think he organically holds that belief.
Maybe.
I think. Well, because the point that I was getting at is that he had a severe drinking and substance abuse problem. Right? A lot of cocaine, a lot of booze. And I think that if you spend decades devoting your life to just downloading this ugly information into your brain, again, for decades, couple that with substance abuse, and then you try to get sober from all of that, or get sober, and you're still downloading all this ugly information onto your brain, your brain's already fucked as it is, And I think coming out of that is very hard.
Yeah.
And I think that the anti-Muslim propaganda did get to him. But at the same time, he's still trying to reel and like grapple with reality, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think, because he believes in all the reptilian shit and all that stuff, do you think like he doesn't anymore because he's like sober or something now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because that's clearly not true. Like they're not reptiles, dude. Like I don't think they're reptiles. Yeah. Like I don't think Hillary Clinton.
Honestly, like sometimes I'm like, yeah, there's no way, right? And then there's other times where I'm like, dude, there might be fucking reptiles.
I will say this, in all fairness, okay. To your point, I will say this: the one conspiracy theory that a bunch of people that I knew or know, I guess, was saying, yeah, it's just fucking real. And I know a couple people that have claimed to see the video. The one thing that I was like, nah, I don't know, was Frazzle Drip.
I don't know that one.
So it's the video of Hillary Clinton cutting the face off the kid and wearing it. I thought that was a load of garbage. I was like, okay, there's a video. I don't believe that. But then Hillary Clinton's deposition happened. Did you see that video? Where they're asking her about Frazzle Drip and just the way she responds to it.
And shit.
Well, the way she responds to it, and then they have to go off the record. That's when I was like, oh no, I'm not sold on the reptile thing, but like everything else is real to some degree.
What blends the lines for me is that it all seems to be like biblical of what they believe in. And in the Bible, there's stuff that's non-human. And so it's just like, well, if we live, basically the whole world actually, believes in this stuff, or it's a foundational aspect for everything that we do. We're going to fucking Israel because the Bible says so, basically. But like if all this stuff in the Bible is kind of true or whatever, and they believe it, then is there a chance that it is? In the Bible, there's these giants and there's these people that live hundreds of years.
Well, the Nephilim,
the Nephilim, right?
Right.
And all these, Abraham and Noah, all these people lived hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's like, well, we never really explain how we went from that to what we are now,
But that doesn't mean reptiles run the government.
No, but it does not mean that. But I don't know. It just means that I think that the normal thing that we're taught isn't all that's available. I think there could be a spiritual, realm.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, think about other stuff. Well, because that was the running joke amongst conspiracy heads for a while. That was, the moment that the government gets exposed that they're a bunch of satanic pedophiles, they're gonna drop the alien knowledge on us to distract us. And sure enough, a week and a half ago, Donald Trump is like, well, he's like, due to popular demand and popular support, we're going to release and be fully transparent in all the files that have to do with UFOs and UAPs, and we're going to da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, okay. So basically what that means is not only aliens are real in some way, shape, or form, aliens are real.
Yeah.
But the Epstein stuff is real. Mm-hmm. Like all of this shit they're accusing, because by your own admission of this thing to cover up for this thing, that means this thing is real. It has to be.
Yeah.
That's the way that math adds up.
It just doesn't make sense why they're like trying to release some alien stuff. It's like they've been building
because they're covering up the.
Well, I know, but they've been building this up for decades. It's like, oh, they're like through movies and stuff. And then there's been a recovery or Area 51, Roswell, all that type of stuff. They've been like slowly giving us like little hints at it, and I don't know if it's real, but it could just be them planning like some kind of alien invasion that's kind of fake or something.
Yeah,
which I don't know how that works. AJ.
It's AJ. Hey, you're on speaker. You're on the podcast right now. I'm doing a podcast with Nevin. What's up?
I was going to tell you should have came to the mic because none of your enemies are even showing up.
Yeah, but guess what? All my enemies didn't put me on that fucking comedy festival, so fuck them.
Dude, they put you on the flyer.
Yeah, that was clearly a slight at me.
Open mic, man.
Yeah, fuck them. Who cares?
All right, well, I'm here alone, so.
Did anybody show up?
Teddy, and then there's 2 comics from out of town, from El Paso.
That's cool.
Yeah, but no one else, so.
Yeah, fuck them. That's why. We're going to Texas next week. Fuck them.
Yeah, your boy Anthony A. should have pulled up, but.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? All right, later, buddy.
You know that what I say is true. I'll talk to you later.
All right, later, buddy.
Later,
bro. Yeah, dude, I got denied from the local comedy festival.
What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't like me.
Aw, and it's because you're talking about all this shit.
Who the fuck? I don't know, dude. I don't know. I haven't really talked about it like on a podcast or like publicly or anything. It's like it's gay. Like yeah. I think comedy beef is so fucking gay. Like there's like, I'm not gonna fucking out anybody's shit, but like there's some like legit gay beef in this fucking city amongst comedy, and it's so whack. Like it's over nothing. And it's just to keep the mind occupied. I'm like, oh, he's talking shit about me, and they fucking don't think I'm funny, and they fucking transphobe, and it's shit like that. Yeah. And it's like, shut up. Nobody. So I haven't really talked about it a whole lot. But the long story short is, I submitted for the Funny Fiesta, which I got into 2 years ago when I was significantly worse at comedy, like horrible, like in comparison to now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty decent now.
But you can't get in now.
But yeah, but they don't want me now. And I have a few. I'll say this publicly because I said it on a podcast. I think that's why he got me kicked out. But the people that run the Funny Fiesta, like the committee, a bunch of either horrible comedians or failed comedians that run it. And I was on Neil Buckty. Yeah. So I was on his podcast a while back. And he had asked me who are your top 3 worst comedians in the city, and I named them, and two of the 3 that I named were like homies with him, and so they're like, "Oh, okay, you talking shit about women comedy, me." And
I mean, he's setting you up for failure right there, telling you to name them.
Yeah, fuck it, I don't give a shit. It's cool, but yeah, it is what it is. Not to change subjects a little bit. When the fuck are you gonna start doing stand up?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if I will. I don't know if that's the really act for me. I think it'd be fun to do it for fun, but I don't know about full-time comedy.
I'm not saying full-time.
Just some open mics.
Go do an open mic. Do a couple of shows, Like, yeah, I know you're dedicating a lot of time to music, and that's good. Like, that's very good. Very happy you guys didn't fall apart, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm very glad you guys didn't fall apart. But... because the music scene in Albuquerque is kind of going through a lull right now. A
little bit, yeah. There's not as many bands coming up, but we're trying to focus more on like songwriting, so it's not so much on playing right now.
Well, there's not a whole lot of bands around.
Yeah, I mean,
where are local shows happening?
It's still the same 3 spots. It's fucking Inside Out, Sister, Launchpad, Marble.
But who's playing? I used to see like. Almost every other weekend, it was either you guys or like the Mango Cakes, Sister Baby, almost always never. Even some of the hardcore guys like fucking Centennial or Inhuman Hand. Like there was a bunch of bands around that were just playing. And now it's like I don't even see saving shit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Like I said, we've been kind of riding, so we've been off the scene a little bit. So I don't know if there's new bands that are on the scene right now. We played with our guy Bike's band, and they were pretty good. We played with them at Launchpad, so we might be playing with them a little bit more. But they're a pretty new band. That's pretty good. But yeah, as far as like new stuff, I'm not sure who's
Red Bike Cameras. Are they around?
I'm sure they're all the same bands still playing. I know Manger's still playing a little bit, and Josie's coming out with new stuff. So.
Oh,
but I don't know. I don't know
about that. I don't know. She unfollowed me. I don't know. I don't know shit about that. I mean, good for her. Yeah. But I just don't see a lot of musicians like local bands that I was like keeping up with doing shit anymore.
I mean, maybe once we get on the scene a little bit this summer, we'll figure that out. But like Johnny tried setting up a show the other day, and he was like, "Who should we reach out to?" And I was like, "I don't know." We have a couple people that we reached out to, but they were busy, so. I don't know. We got to reach out and see who's back on the scene.
Okay.
But yeah.
So I got to think, when is this going to come out? I think I can talk about this. If I can't talk about it, I'll just delete this part. So, I didn't do this. I'm not going to take credit for this. AJ got in with Rebel in a significant way.
Really?
very significant way. And by the time this comes out, and if it's not yet, maybe I'll just hold the episode or I'll just chop this bit out. But he's going to start doing here pretty soon, I think in the next like 3 weeks, he's going to start doing a local show monthly at Revel Backstage.
Nice.
Hosting it. And the way they want to set it up is they want, while everyone's coming in and like getting drinks, like, you know, that little like social hour, 30 minutes to an hour that's like happening before a stand-up show.
Yeah.
They want local music to like fill that time. And I was thinking about like who could do that realistically. You know what I mean? Mm. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know how good, like, I'm sure it'd be sick, but I don't know what the execution would look like as far as like having like the Slums do it. But like Sister Baby's pretty quiet, mellow. That'd be nice. But I was just running through the names of bands. Like, I don't know who the fuck's around anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we got to figure out who's on the scene, dude. I'm sure there's some bands coming out that I just don't know about yet. But we'll see.
Start doing stand-up.
We'll see. I might get banned right away, dude. I would just do shit about Jews all the time.
No, fuck. Who gives a shit? Start doing open mics. Figure out how to be funny. Come do a show with me, dude, and AJ. Come on.
Could be fun.
Yeah.
Did you see I died at Ari's joke about I think it was about Mossad or IDF or whatever, when they blew up the pizza delivery guy?
No.
Yeah. They were like, he set it up. He was like, yeah, and they were trying to get the terrorist guy, and basically they zeroed in on him, and it was like a perfect execution. Is the wrong guy? But yeah, it was funny. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I ever do anything with it. But yeah, dude, fucking. Yeah, anyway, this world is fucking fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. And I just asked you about the voting thing because like I've gotten to the point now where it's like Trump let me down and let all of us down in a very significant way. Like we specifically, and dude, like, you know what really like. I wouldn't say hurts because I don't really hold politicians with that high of a regard. I just have certain expectations and they don't meet them. Like, all right, whatever. But like, I guess what really disappointed me was Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard really disappointed me because with her, it's like your whole brand was no regime change wars, non-interventionalism.
That was Trump's too, though.
Yes, but she was from the Democrats, at least. Before they became the war party all of a sudden. But that was her whole brand, was we're not going to be doing these stupid wars where it's going to cost us hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions of dollars, get the best of our generations killed. Mm-hmm. And, you know, at the time she was running for president, and she's like, well, if I'm going to be president, this is whatever. She becomes the director of national intelligence, and in her own report, she says Iran is not building nuclear weapons. They have no intention. They're not doing it.
And they blow it up.
And then 3 months later, she turns her back on it and says, oh, I think they're building the weapons of mass destruction. They're building nuclear weapons. We need to get in there and use our bunker busters. It's like, fuck you. I don't care about Hawaii fires anymore.
Yeah.
Hawaii can burn now because of you. Like, fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
dude, I mean, it's honestly like I think Trump is like, I would say he's the biggest traitor to America right now because he really just betrayed everything he ran on. You know, it's
except for the border, yeah.
You know, it's like everything he ran on, he's going against. He's anyone that like was part of his backing. You know, anyone that goes against that, he's like, well, you're not MAGA anymore or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the Epstein turn on that was real weird to me too. Mm-hmm. It's a Democratic hoax or Democratic Party hoax, yeah. and if you believe in the Epstein files being real, then you're no longer.
Which is another weird reason. It's like, why is he saying all that? You know, it's like, yeah, maybe he just has people who has his blackmail, or it might not even be so much of his blackmail, which it definitely could be. But if it isn't, it's just people that controls him or has massive power that will either put a hit on him or just like they're just saying, you know, you can't fucking do this or else.
Yeah, see, and that's the other thing too is like who tried to shoot him?
The first time?
Yeah. Who was that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they say it was just a dude, but it was definitely the CIA.
Because that's one of the things that I think about, because I don't know about you, Nevin, but if I was president and I'm on the campaign trail and somebody tries to fucking kill me and I win the presidency, you better believe that without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to have that investigated to the fullest extent.
Yep, that's one of the first things you're doing.
And when I find out who not only, because we know who the shooter was, obviously, okay, so we know that. But I will expose him, his parents, his workplace, his friends. I will say, hey, here is everyone connected to this person. Just so there is no shadow of a doubt. But then it's like also, that guy appeared in a BlackRock commercial. That guy, his phone went to a local FBI building 4 times in the last month. His body was cremated 10 days after the shooting.
He had no social media footprint.
Well, Tucker actually looked into that a little bit. He did like a 30-minute video on it, and they found a bunch of social media accounts. So the FBI was lying about that. He had a YouTube account, he had a Discord account, he had a Steam account, like all the usual stuff for guys our age and younger, right? He had all those accounts. And then in the last probably like 2 months or so before the shooting, he had made a couple of comments on his YouTube, like typed out comments that were like super leftist, anti-American type shit. So they just flat out lied about that, because if you're telling me that Tucker Carlson and his cohorts can figure it out, but the FBI can't, fuck you. Like that's not the case. But then, I'm exposing everything. I'm like, yeah, this guy just tried to blow my fucking head off. Like, that's not the thing. What I will say, this is how weird the world has gotten for me. Initially, when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, for real, Trump got clipped in the ear. It was an act of God, that whole thing. Sorry. After everything that's happened over the last year and some change, I don't think Trump got shot.
Yeah, I think it was fucking fake, dude.
I think, because my whole thing about it doesn't smell right. My whole thing is like, okay, if you're the Secret Service, you have drills that you've ran. Well, first of all, you don't put women on the detail. And if you are going to put women on the detail, you don't put those kind of women on the detail.
Make sure they're 6'5".
Yeah, you're not putting average-looking women on the detail. I'm sorry, you're not. Because his public appearances after that, to include the UFC, he's got these jacked ass 6'3", 6 foot guys around him. So anyway, you don't put women on his detail just due to biological differences. You're not doing that. And if you are going to do that, you're not going to put women that are like 5'8", because he's what, 6'2", 6'1",
something like that.
You need to block the president when your head is barely covering his vitals. Not happening, right? But anyway, you have drills that you're running based on Trump, based on his build, his makeup, how to maneuver his body properly, because whether he gets shot and injured or he is shot and killed, you need to move the body. Regardless, you have to move the body off the scene, because you don't know what's coming. What if some sniper takes out the president?
Or if there were 2 assassins.
Right, 2 assassins, or you've got an assassin that takes out the president, and you have other people trying to come in and take the body. You don't know what's coming. You have to plan for everything. The fact that the shots ring out and they keep him down for an elongated period of time, because it's like, okay, you don't know if there's 2 shooters, you don't know if there's whatever. So what if they start taking shots at you guys? Now what, you're dead on the president? Well, your body has served its purpose, but you still need to move the president. So they moved him, put him on the ground, left him there for a really long period of time, and they let him put his shoes on?
Dude, and then you have the photographers moving everything into place with the flag lowering down. Now that was pretty weird.
Yeah, I think,
and it nothing really of it makes sense. It's just like you have him on the roof, on a slanted roof or whatever, and they say that they couldn't have put anyone on that because it was
too slanted, but the body didn't slide off.
And you have another guy who's a sniper who's on a more slanted roof. So it's like, well, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And then, if I had to guess, I never want to assume that they, planned on killing Americans, but our government does do that. I think they plan to shoot next to Trump, have him go down. They use the fake blood packet, bring him back up, and then move him.
Exactly.
Get the photo off.
Because there were 2 people that died.
Yep.
It was Crooks and the firefighter.
Yep.
So those people did die, but yeah, that doesn't mean that, that they couldn't have just aimed slightly away from him and shot him, said that it was a shot, it's fake blood. There it is.
That's what I think they did.
But yeah, bro, it fucking goes deep. And it's like, all right, well, who's controlling all of this? It's like, how is this all happening? I think it's Freemasons. I think it's Illuminati, Freemasons. It's all this shit.
So what are the Freemasons?
So the Freemasons, it goes all the way back to King Solomon. But the Freemasons, dude, it's weird, like how many presidents were Freemasons. Like Wilson, the first guy that basically took us into the First World War.
Yep, created the
1913, created the Fed. He was a Freemason. Roosevelt, 1933, he was a Freemason, took us off, or basically created the first federal note. Tons of Freemasonry all over the dollar if you look at it. But yeah, they've just been all throughout society.
What's their purpose?
So I think it's world domination of just basically like one world government type of thing. But it, again, like how I think it traces back to King Solomon. So the founders of the Freemasons are the Knights Templar, right? And those were the Knights of the Crusades. They were basically the guys that would kill a bunch of fucking people, basically. But it also goes back because they were obsessed with like King Solomon. Do you know a lot about King Solomon or not?
I know a bit, yeah.
So King Solomon was like supposed to be like one of the most like he was a king with like the most wisdom, basically.
Right.
In the Bible, it doesn't really say like where he gets his wisdom from, but in other texts, you can find that he was like a demon worshiper, and he dealt with a lot of his wives' gods, basically. Because during this time, it's like a polytheistic society, so there's tons of different gods.
Well, even in the Bible, it says that he allowed his wives to worship other gods.
Right, but he also worshipped those gods, right? And so the Seal of Solomon, do you know what the Seal of Solomon is?
It's a part of it's like a section of the Bible, right?
No, so the Seal of Solomon is what people call the Star of David.
Okay. So,
but there's no reference in the Bible of the seal of the Star of David, right? There's no reference of it.
Well, the Star of David is a modern thing,
right?
Like, that's a modern symbolism. That was like in the 1910s, right? The 1920s,
right? But so the only reference to this star that we associate with the Star of David in the Bible is the Star of Ramphun, right? And in the Bible, it says that these people are carrying a flag of a false god, right? And it says that it's a Star of Ramphun, which worships Moloch. I think you know who Moloch is, right? And so they don't acknowledge that. They just say, no, this is the Star of David. And they just basically just say that that any connection to demons or anything like that is not really real, right? Anyway, so the Knights of Templar, they were obsessed with Solomon because he was able to rule the world basically through these demons. And so they wanted to find the wisdom, whether it was in scrolls or whatever. Legend has it they found it, right? And then they founded Freemasonry based off of this knowledge, right? So Freemasons, the master builders, that's what Solomon was. He was the master builder. So once the Knights Templar founded Freemasonry, it basically expanded throughout the world and kind of infiltrated a bunch of governments. Then you have the Illuminati, who infiltrated the Freemasons. And so it's like, I don't know. I still have to look into it a little bit more.
Like what came first, chicken or the egg?
So they were kind of founded, Freemasons were first, but Illuminati was, I think it was late 1800s, and Freemasons were way before that. Like I said, King Solomon Knights, biblical times. But so the Illuminati, same type of thing, world government, world power type of society, and they wanted to remain so secret that they wanted to take over a secret society. So basically, that you would never be able to trace it back to them. But it's just weird, like how you can connect all that through all these ancient religions to current religions, and how Freemasons still dominate all the countries that we know now today. Like America was built by Freemasons. George Washington was a massive Freemason.
So what's the end game?
World domination.
And if they achieve that, what happens?
Well, so here's the other thing. Is Freemasons are...
And the reason I ask, I just want to say, the reason I ask is you can track these things out. You know what I mean? Like, you can track out, like, okay, obviously Israel doesn't want Iran to be around so that they can take back Gaza and the West Bank, the Greater Israel Project. They want to create, and I think Fuentes put it great in a couple episodes ago. They put out, we were talking about they want total hegemony in the Middle East, right? They want to be a major superpower. They want to take over. They obviously do the religious beliefs. They want to, eradicate Islam. Okay, we understand that. In game. Makes sense. The same kind of thing can go to Russia, where it's like, okay, the Russians, maybe not, I'm not convinced about Putin himself, but I'm sure there are Russians that maybe want to recreate the USSR, or they want to have Russian dominance. China clearly wants to have technological dominance. They can't get it through military, even though the military is huge, but they just don't have the resources to have military dominance, but they can have tech dominance. America wants militaristic dominance, right? There's an end game to all of these things.
Well, what I would say is that it's what it is right now, is they've achieved secret societal dominance. In every country, we worship the same thing. It's all money, and they've kind of gone away from all of our morals. The other thing is Freemasonry is like heavy like Jewish mysticism, so it's like heavy on the book of Zohar, of like the Talmud, and so like that's where all the like literal magic witchcraft stuff comes from.
He's anti-Semitic.
That is not a real word, first of all. Israelites are anti-Semitic for bombing Palestinians. So,
isn't that some shit, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that some shit when you look at the actual breakdown, the etymology of that word and what it means to be Semitic? And isn't that funny?
And who really are? I mean, dude, fucking Tucker really roasted Huckabee with that.
I still haven't finished that interview. I've got like maybe an hour left. Yeah. But I couldn't like. I've probably put it on, honestly, just because I'm fucking busy all the time these days. But like, because I'll listen to a lot of my podcasts either when I'm like preparing reports for work, or like I drive around a lot for work, right? Like I'll drive to like Espanola or down to Berlin, whatever. And obviously like for like stand up and shit, and traveling a lot. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, book me, please. If you're still watching this far, if you want to book me, you're a real one. But I'll listen to podcasts then, or like when I get to play video games every now and again, I'll listen to podcasts. But dude, with that one, it's taken me like 5 times because it's so hard to listen to because of Huckabee.
Yeah.
It is so hard to listen to that, dude. Oh, my God.
And real quick before I jump into that, I forgot to mention this. So King Solomon, you're a big Lord of the Rings fan. Lord of the Rings is based off of King Solomon.
Well, Tolkien based it off of a lot of biblical like influences for sure.
Right, I know, but So basically, you know how I was telling you, like, Solomon is, like, the master of demons through this ring? So, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. So, the seal of Solomon that he wore it on a ring, right? So, that's the legend. And so, the story of Lord of the Rings, you have this ring that controls all these powers. Right. But you don't actually rule...
I've only seen Lord of the Rings once.
Oh, you
No, I'm sorry. I've seen it twice. I've seen the extended versions twice.
Yeah, but... well, you should watch it more. But anyways, in Lord of the Rings, when you get the ring, you have like a lot of power, but you don't actually like have power over what is ruling you. And so in the same way, that's the same thing with King Solomon. He had power over these demons, but he wasn't ruling the demons. The demons were ruling him, and he was doing what the demons were wanting. And so it's basically just a story of like Solomon, Saruman, Saturn, Sauron. Like there's these little things that they switch out to like make it so it's not like a clear message of Freemasonry. But it's pretty obvious once you learn about it. It's just like, it's this ring that is supposed to, you're supposed to have power over it, but it just rules you instead.
So as they've seeped into all of these governments, what is the end goal here?
It's secret societal power. So they rule all of the countries. They rule the world through these secret societies, which control the banks, which control the countries.
But what do they, like, I just want to ask, like, what do they, let's assume they have control of every country. Mm-hmm. What do they want to do?
Rule it. Literally what they're doing right now, they've already succeeded. So they're ruling in a world that is basically just corrupt and running off of these like false morals, basically.
Well, because I guess here's my question, right? So let's, because you have to assume that if they're controlling everything, then they are a unified front, right? And you look at the Middle East, why haven't they been able to control that? Get them all on the same page. Is it because they don't completely control these countries and they're off on their own like religious bends? Is it like, why is that not controlled?
Well, if we want to talk about control of all these countries, I mean, it goes back to oil, really. I mean, are we talking about like why these countries hate us?
No. Like the Freemasons. If they want to control everything, they have to control the Middle East.
Well, they're trying to. They don't have any central banks or influence on these countries.
Okay. So that's when you get into, so some of these countries, so they don't have total control over every country.
Exactly.
And they're taking out all the countries that don't have the central banks that are funded by the Rockefellers.
Exactly.
And that's why.
Exactly.
So when they take out those countries and install these banks, they then control
You'll
them.
have a true one world government. And so it's like,
okay.
I mean, you look at the Middle East, bro, Iraq, Iran, Venezuela, some of all these other countries that we meddle in, and it's all because we're trying to take their natural resources, you know?
Right.
Look at any time that we've done a coup.
Does Donald Trump have a Freemason handler?
I don't. He might. He has a Jewish handler. So.
Oh, yes, Netanyahu. Yes. But is there someone telling him this, or is this something that's been oppressed upon him? Like, what is this from Trump?
So I see that Zionism is part of Freemasonry. So if you're in Zionism, you're in support of Freemasonry. So you can disguise it. You don't have to be, I'm a full supporter of Freemasonry. It's disguised in Zionism. It's disguised in this one world government type of thing.
Okay. So is Zionism like in their like ethos?
Well, so they need Zionism. So this goes back to the Third Temple thing of them wanting to bring back the Third Temple so that the Antichrist can come.
I heard Tucker was talking about that today.
Yeah. So that's the whole point of Zionism, is to establish a home state for Jews. But I don't know if that's the exact end goal, because I've heard that by extremist Jews or extremist Christians that they want that control of that territory so they could build the Third Temple so that the Antichrist comes back. Which I don't know why you'd want the fucking Antichrist to come back.
I mean, there are people that worship demons, dude. That's a real thing.
And that's just where it gets crazy. It's like how many... And I don't even think that they're worshiping demons. I think they think they're worshiping demons. Because... So all this stuff goes... So you know how people say they worship Baal and Moloch and all this stuff? Those gods were other gods before they were. You know, so it all goes back... What I think it goes back to is the worship of Saturn, right? And so if you go back before Judaism, before Canaanite religions, all this stuff, they all worshipped, the sun and the planets and all that type of stuff. And so through all these different names of different religions, they mainly worship Saturn because it's the slowest moving planet. And so they view that as like the elder, like God or whatever. And so throughout all these religions, through, Egypt, Greek, all this stuff, they all just tend to worship or relabel them as Baal, Moloch, all this type of stuff. So in like Greek, they would worship, in Egypt is Horus, they would worship Saturn, Saturnus, they would worship Yahweh, El, all these other things. All these things are just different names for the planet Saturn. And so it's like they're just sacrifice, because you know Baal and Moloch, right? They require sacrifice. And so throughout human history,
how do you think I've gotten all my followers on Instagram?
Nice. So throughout human history, we've sacrificed to these gods under different names, but it's almost always been Saturn being the prime, like, god, right? And the part where it gets weird is where you start to tie in these shapes that they kind of come up with, and how it ties into Saturn and the hexagon on Saturn. Do you know about the hexagon on Saturn?
Take a wild guess if I know about that.
Do you know about it?
No.
So in the 1980s, they sent, I don't know what, it was a Voyager or some shit, to basically get a photo of Saturn. And at the pole of Saturn, there's a hexagram. And it doesn't really make sense. And especially when you tie these shapes that make a hexagram and that it relates to Saturn.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
And so I don't know if they created that image to support their beliefs or something like that, or if that's a real image. But it's just weird. Like, if we only found out about that in the 1980s, how did we always tie this hexagram shape to the worship of the god Saturn?
And there's evidence of them worshiping in this hexagon shape, being involved in these worships thousands of years ago.
Yeah, so like the Star of Ramphon, you know, basically, yeah, that just ties to the hexagram. And so what I found out is that they would use ways to track the planets, and they would make like magical squares or something like that to map them. And so by making all these magic numbers, Saturn is the number 3, 6, and 9. And so when you combine all that, they were able to make the hexagram or some shit.
So the Star of Ramphon is another word for the Star of David.
Well, that's what they say, but the Star of David is not mentioned in the Bible.
But I just looked up on images of just Star of Ramphon, and I want to do a little experiment here.
I'm gonna piss real quick while you do that.
Yeah, so I looked up the Star of Ramphon on here, and a little image popped up, and it says, "Show me where in the Bible it says this star is attributed to David." And then it says, "Well, you won't find it attributed to David. You will, however, find it attributed to Satan in Acts and in Amos." So what we're going to do is we're going to look up these Bible verses really quick. Let's see. Acts 7:43. Let's see what Acts 7:43 says. Let's see. It says, No, you set up the tent to worship the god of Moloch and the star of your god Rampha. You made gods to worship them. I will carry you away to the other side of the country of Babylon. And then the other Bible verse that it says is Amos. Let's see. Amos 5:26. And Amos 5:26 says, You also carried with you Sikkuth, your king, and Kion, your star god, the false gods you've made for yourselves. Whew. Well, that's not exactly... that's not exactly reassuring here.
What'd you find out?
It's a couple of Bible verses basically saying these things are attributed to false gods.
Right, and why is that on the why is that the Star of David? And why is that on the country that we support so much?
Oh God, dude. I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing is like, cause not to like dumb all this down, but like, I think about this stuff and I'm like, again, okay, so just play devil's advocate. If these things are real, if this stuff is real, as like a normal human being, and maybe this is like naivety, maybe this is Western privilege, maybe this is whatever, right? But it's as a normal human being. Like, I'm a normal guy mostly. I have my vices, but I'm a normal guy.
Yeah.
I have my hobbies. I have my people I hang out. I'm just a normal dude. I don't commit crimes or nothing. I'm not trying to kill anybody. I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm just trying to talk shit on the internet, do a little bit of stand-up, read a comic book every now and again. I'm just trying to chill, right? I'm just my goal at the end of the day is do enough to where I can just chill. Why would I go out of my way to worship a demon? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Unless they're real.
Okay.
And they give you power. That's the whole point.
I don't like how you just looked at me. You ever have power?
That's the whole point is whether it's real or not. They think it gives you power.
What kind of power are we talking about? Like status?
Well, back in the old religions, they thought it brought, they thought it would cure droughts. They thought it would, cure fertility. They thought it would help you in war. It's all these different things. And has things really changed? Maybe it's the same stuff. And the other thing is, like, how do we know this stuff hasn't adapted? How do we know child sacrifice hasn't turned into abortion? How do we know wars aren't human sacrifice?
I really didn't. I don't think, and just for me personally, the issue of abortion, I don't think I'll ever have a stance on that.
Well, we don't need to get into abortion. I'm just saying that ties to it.
I have a point to bring up.
Yeah.
I have a point. But just me personally, I don't think I have a stance on that anymore. I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
I used to be like very anti, and then I grew up a little bit more. I was like, no, I was like, good thing. And then now I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I'll never support like a 9th month late term abort. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's insane. And I've heard that where it's like, Planned Parenthood is basically our version of child sacrifice. And I looked at that and I've always, not always, but, basically since I was like maybe in college a little bit on, like, that's such a Republican, like, bullshit talking point. And it's like, I'm not like convinced on that, but then over the last like 2 or 3 years or so, and this is 100% because of how the Democratic Party has, conducted themselves and the trying to push abortion so much, and like the glorification of abortion really bothers me. Mm-hmm. I will say that. Like, you shouldn't be proud to have an abortion. You should be shamed. No, shameful. Not shamed, but shameful. That shouldn't be something you celebrate, right? Like, you shouldn't be shamed for having one necessarily, depending on the circumstances. But like, you shouldn't be proud of the fact that you had to get an abortion or you chose to get an abortion.
Yeah.
But then you start looking into like where abortion clinics are the most prevalent, how many, like what races get the most abortions, and because like I'm not a woke like identitarian kind of guy, but I'm like, and I don't believe that our system is oppressing black people or oppressing Mexicans or whatever. I don't believe that. I just choose not to believe, and I just don't think the evidence really stacks up. But I do look at the patterns of things our government, like, for instance, in the Reagan administration, when they flooded the inner cities with crack cocaine, took that money, funded the Contras. That's crazy, right? Mm. So I'm like, if that is an option for the government, is it so far-sighted to believe that that abortion would be promoted so much in the inner cities to get rid of black babies? I'm not convinced that that's not true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. It's something like, it's like a weird majority, like 40-something% of abortions that have been performed are on black people. Mm. That's crazy. And when you see how black people have been viewed in society for thousands of years, in predominantly white societies, Jewish societies, and how they're treated, what their offspring is treated as, their children. It's like, I think there might be something to it. And maybe
I mean, they've always tried to keep black people down, you know what I mean? With the CIA fucking putting all the fucking drugs into the neighborhoods, setting up the stick operations to get them in the same exact spot, basically on a routine, basically.
And then, I mean, obviously the
and you have the rap industry that is owned by the same people that own the jails. Like, what's the coincidence there?
Wait, what?
So the same people that own some of the rap industry or the rap studios, basically, also have shares in certain jails and stuff.
People that simultaneously own record labels and
or shares,
prison facilities. AI is telling me it's a conspiracy theory. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Here's something from Ice Cube. Hang on. I've got something here from Ice Cube. Hang on.
That's dirty. Would you feel safe doing that investigation and that research? Well, first, I'm going to answer that directly. It's a great question. Get to that. Safe? No, but I've never felt safe, and I'm not going to.
Okay, it's a 20-minute video.
Yeah, we won't find it. But.
Yeah, but yeah, let's see if I can find something here.
It's definitely a flow of basically getting people to indulge in like the rap lifestyle, getting them to sell drugs, and then basically arresting them and keeping this jail system going. And it's crazy how there's privatized jails, you know?
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
He's on Bill Maher. And he's saying, Bill Maher, the same people that own the record labels also own the private prisons. Who's he talking about? While he was on the podcast here, he said BlackRock. Do you know what are the two biggest private prisons in America? One of them is called Geo Group, right? Do you know who's the biggest shareholder, institutional shareholder of Geo Group? You ready? Number one, you can find this for yourself, BlackRock. They own roughly 14.16%. You know what number two is? It's called Vanguard. You know what they own? 9.96%. And by the way, the other one is called Core Civic Incorporated. Ready? Number one, biggest top institutional holder. Public information, BlackRock, 16.75%. Number two is Vanguard, 11.17%. You know what they like? They like the investment. It's a great business.
So, okay. With the way I see it, because it's specifically...
BlackRock's a little vague because they own everything.
Right. So. Exactly what I was going to say. It's because it's BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street.
You got Times Warner.
Yeah, so with those guys, they own everything. They have hands in everything. So I don't really hold a whole lot to that. But there certainly is there was an Epstein email where he was talking about with Jay-Z about how they're pushing like the messaging into rap music to make like crime proliferate or whatever in the inner cities, and that it's working.
It's weird how much like just influence Epstein had on everything. Like he seemed to have his hands in like everything. It's weird.
I don't know, man. It's
a Jewish supremacy thing. I don't know.
Well, there is something. I mean, again, there is something to that.
I think we should call that out.
Yeah, like,
Jewish supremacy needs to be called out.
Like there is something to that where it is like why like again, I'm not an anti-Semite. Like I'm not, but like it's worth noting common denominators. And why is it that in every major facet of life there is a disproportionate amount of these people there?
Right. What do they say? They're 2% of the population?
Right.
They're way overrepresented in every like big corporation, you know.
Entertainment, weapons manufacturing, government,
health,
the lawyer, lawyers, like the business of being a lawyer, I don't know what it's called, but the practicing law. Practicing law. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And the idea, and I'm glad this is being exposed to the Epstein files, but just specifically how the Epstein class viewed everybody else, viewed the Gentiles.
The Goyim,
right. Land cattle, nation cattle. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, if that's how you view us, and then your government is pressuring our government to fight our wars for you, and you just see us as land cattle, well, then there you go.
Mm-hmm. Bro, and it really just goes to how you interpret that fucking verse. Genesis, the one that keeps coming up in all the podcasts, the one where it says, basically, if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. You know, they keep confusing what that actually means. Well, it doesn't say Israel, first of all. It says the descendants of Abraham will be blessed.
Right.
And people misinterpret what that actually means.
Well, it's even... So you're correct, first of all, about that. But the more important part about that is that all of that, it's not null and void, but all of that gets overridden by the coming of Jesus Christ.
Right. That was his message.
Yeah, Jesus Christ creates a new covenant that overrides the covenant of Abraham, and it says that all are welcome.
Right.
And the Jews denied their gift, which was Jesus Christ. They denied their gift. That's why they lost Jerusalem. It was ransacked by the Romans, and Jesus was given to everyone.
Yeah.
That is why.
Yeah. And it just goes back to basically how you think that happened. If you think God chose Abraham, or if you think Abraham chose God. And in my opinion, I think Abraham chose God, because the only thing that God was requiring at that time was faithfulness, right? So they say that he chose Abraham because he was going to be a strong leader. Everything that they say that God chose Abraham for was because he was going to be strong in his faith, right? So to me, that doesn't say that God chose Abraham, right? It shows me that Abraham chose God and to be faithful to God. And that's what that means. And that's what Jesus believes, is that it's open to anyone who will live in God's image and basically live through him.
That is one thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap this episode. Where do you fall in all this, religiously speaking?
I'm not very religious at all. No, and it goes back to just researching everything. Like I think Yahweh is actually a false god, because going back to like how I was talking about, like these gods have different names. So the original Israelite God was named El, right? And he was from Noah to Abraham or whatever. He was named El Shaddai, whatever, God of greatness, whatever. And then once the time of Moses happened, where he was, once he kind of revealed himself to him, he revealed himself as Yahweh. A different God from a different, basically, area of the world. So Yahweh is a Edomite God, which if you go back to what Edomite means, it's basically the name for Esau. And so do you know the story of Esau and Jacob?
Yeah.
So basically, God just said that Jacob was going to be better than Esau.
Right.
And so Jews think that Esau, or extreme Jews, think that Esau is anyone who's a non-Jew. And so in the story, it says that basically that Jacob will always be better. He will always come up on top. And so that's like a foundational story for Jews to basically say, I am divine, And it just goes back to the understanding of why, of understanding that story, basically. And just how you interpret that first verse of Genesis. I think it's like 12 or something like that. But it's basically just like God is wanting to be worshipped by someone who's faithful and not worshiping other gods. Because during this time, what you have to know is that it's a polytheistic time. So there's tons of gods that people are worshiping. And even, Moses, his father-in-law and his wife practices polytheism. And polytheism basically just means there's a bunch of different gods.
Right.
And so Judaism basically goes from polytheism to henotheism to monotheism, which is like you worship all these gods to where you understand that there's one God that you should worship, which is El, and then you go to monotheism, where you only believe in El, right? And so that's basically like how Judaism kind of starts, just through the belief of there's one God that that basically is more powerful than all the other gods. But if you go back into what you're asking me about, if I believe in all this stuff, I don't really believe in it just because, like, there's too many questions that I didn't really get answered when I was, like, a Christian. And it's mainly two. It's the free will and God's plan. They just contradict each other. I don't think it's real. And then heaven and hell, because those are made up. So that's kind of like what...
Why do you think God's will or God's plan and free will are contradictory or made up?
Well, you can't have one without the other. Or one and the other, I should say. You can't have God's plan and then also have free will. Like, you can't have your whole life planned in every single way. Like, it says God knits you in the womb, and every single thing that you do, he knows, or whatever. And that I just think that contradicts the meaning of free will, which is basically that you can do whatever you want to do at that time. Because then it was always part of God's plan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just asking questions. I'm interested to see your point of view. Yeah, I mean, I get why you feel that way. And then the second part, heaven and hell not being real.
Yeah, so heaven and hell was invented, or well, not really invented. It was adopted through Judaism. But in the Old Testament, heaven and hell don't actually exist. It's called Sheol or whatever. But it's basically just where all souls go. Whether you're good or bad, it doesn't matter what you did in your life. Your soul goes to Sheol. And through Zoroastrianism, that was during...
Whoa. Okay, what is that?
So Zoroastrianism is another religion that was dominant before Judaism. And it had tons of influence on everything. But basically, what time period was this? It was during the Persian Empire, because it's a Persian religion. But so once the Jews were ruled by Persians, their religions kind of coincided, because it was a lot of like, you do good, you want to be a good person, basically. And so Zoroastrianism is basically like a religion of good and bad. If you do good, then you'll be rewarded in the afterlife. If you do bad, then you'll be sent to a place where you basically get you just deal with all the shit you did, and you get punished for everything that you did. So Zoroastrianism basically gave this belief to Judaism that there is an afterlife, because before there was just your soul went here no matter what you did. And so because Jews were like slaves during this time, and there was like almost no like hope for Jews, because it was like, you're slaves, you're going to die a slave, you're born a slave.
How do you spell Zoroastrianism?
And Z-O-R-O.
Found it. Okay, I found it. Okay,
but,
keep going.
So basically, this was the two religions kind of blended, and because Jews were basically slaves during this time, they adopted this idea because they weren't being rewarded in this life, so they had to make sense of it. And so the way they made sense of it was adopting this religion that coincided with them, which was the belief of an afterlife where you're rewarded if you live a good life. So heaven and hell wasn't actually a thing until about 300 to 400 years before Jesus was alive. And that was adopted by the Jewish religion, and that's kind of why Jesus teaches that.
So, because I'm just not biblically well-read, as I should be, to be perfectly honest with you. But I know that there is evidence of heaven in the Old Testament. I just couldn't pull it up for you where. So key evidence and references. So it's the direct translation / ascension. Direct translation / ascension. So Enoch was taken by God in Genesis 5:24, and Elijah ascended to heaven in a whirlwind in 2 Kings, verse 2, chapter 2, verses 11. See, that's how fucked my brain is right now. And then so it says, Daniel 12:2 explicitly mentions many sleeping in the dust shall awake to everlasting life. And then Isaiah 26:19 echoes this, stating, your dead shall live and their bodies shall rise. And then God's presence or in a heavenly abode. Psalms 73:24-26 speaks of being taken into glory. Psalm 16:11 talks about the fullness of joy and the pleasureness evermore and being in God's presence. and then gathered to his people, the capital H, used to describe death as an example, Abraham or Isaac, implying that continued existence and reunion in afterlife. And the house of the Lord, David expresses confidence that he will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And then it also notes, while the concept of a fiery hell is less defined, the Old Testament highlights a distinction in the afterlife between the righteous and the wicked, often centered on the concept of Sheol. And it's a side note, by the way. That's why I'm really excited for Mel Gibson's sequel to Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
Did you hear him talking about that on Rogan? Mm-mm. So he's making the sequel, 2-parter. I think it comes out next year. I think. And he's going to introduce Sheol into it. And he's like describing it as some like psychedelic experience, and we're gonna see what it was like after Jesus died, and what Sheol has looked like, and the gathering of souls, and what the resurrection looked like, and what the ascension into heaven. And he mentioned, I don't know if it was on Rogan or on a different interview he did, but he was mentioning how like they're gonna dip into Revelation, and dude, I would love to see what Mel Gibson's take on Revelation is.
That'd be pretty crazy. He's a great filmmaker, so
that's the thing, is he's a great filmmaker, but he does practical stuff. Mm-hmm. He's not big on CGI. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at his two, what I would say personally, probably his two biggest movies are Braveheart and
Apocalypto.
Well, yeah, I'd say Apocalypto is a third. I think it's Braveheart and Passion. Yeah, with Apocalypto's like right there.
I didn't like Passion much. Huh? I didn't like Passion much.
I don't think you're supposed to.
Yeah.
If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't think you're supposed to enjoy it. But none of them are CGI heavy.
Yeah.
You know, there's some aspects of it for sure, obviously, like CGI and whatever. But it's all practical, real world, like as lifelike as you can make it. Mm-hmm. So to do Revelation, that's got to be like
I don't know how he's going to do that.
I don't know if it's... Well, that's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if it's filmable. Mm-hmm. How do you do that without making it look like a CGI mess? Or you fall into like... If you start doing like the Beast in the Sea or like the Legions of Heaven coming down, and how do you not make it look like a video game? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I'm very excited for that. But I just want to pull those up. I knew there was evidence of heaven.
Well, because hold on, let me look up some stuff, because I'm pretty sure like those aren't really descriptive of heaven though. Like they're not really. They're not saying like if you live a good life you're gonna go here.
Well, it's saying that it's referencing a presence of an afterlife.
Right,
I think is the point.
Would that be where your soul rests or no?
So it's a distinction of the afterlife between the righteous and the wicked, often centered on the concept of Sheol. So I think in that sentence it's saying Sheol meaning the wicked part. And then
I think what it's saying is the modern concept of it is not.
And then so like
it is not described.
The writers described heaven in different ways in the Old Testament, in different ways. Being at God's right hand in Psalm 16:11, dwelling in the house of the Lord, also in Psalm, being with God in His glory, a place of joy, and the enjoyment of an everlasting life in Daniel. So that's referencing, and everlasting life is a continuing phrase used in the New Testament. So I think
that's a New Testament though.
No. So I'm saying that the enjoyment of everlasting life is in Daniel in the Old Testament. And the term everlasting life is used throughout the New Testament.
There's been people. So this is the argument here, though, is that there's a misconception of whether that means heaven on earth or not.
Why would it be heaven on earth, though?
If you live that life, you would bring heaven to earth. Like if you, basically, like if everyone were to live that life, it would be heaven on earth.
Oh, no, I don't think so, because when it's saying stuff like dwelling at God's right hand and stuff like that, because God isn't on earth. They understood that.
Well, okay, so here's the other thing. I forgot to bring this up. So if we're going back to pre-Canaanite times or whatever, which is the Israelites' God, in the Bible, the original text says Elohim, which is plural for God. So it means gods.
How do you spell that?
Elohim. So Elohim.
Okay, here we go.
And so in the original text, it actually says, and I bet you it'll probably say that they just reinterpret it as something else.
So Elohim is a Hebrew word for God or gods, appearing 2,500 times in the Hebrew Bible, with its first uses in Genesis 1:1, highlighting God as a powerful creator. Although in a plural form, it usually takes a singular verb when referring to the one true God.
Because they say that. That's the only reason they say that.
Representing a plural of majesty or fullness rather than polytheism. Key aspects of Elohim include derived from El, meaning strong or mighty. It signifies God's supreme power, sovereignty, and role as a creator. Context, it is often used to emphasize God's relationship to the universe and humanity rather than the covenant name Yahweh. As a plural noun, some scholars and theologians suggest that's horrible English. Suggests the Trinity or the richness of God's nature. I'm more inclined to believe, because there's a lot of, obviously, because the Bible is a book about Jesus, there's a lot of foreshadowing that happens in the Old Testament to the New Testament, to the coming of Jesus and all of that. I'm more inclined with that definition to believe they're more talking about the Trinity of God rather than anything else. And
the Trinity didn't exist at that point.
Right, it's a foreshadowing. Right.
Right, so it's fabricated.
So no, not that it's fabricated, it's that God, like in the writing, it's foreshadowing that the Trinity is going to happen. Jesus is going to come in the New Testament.
Well, what about all the other gods that existed at that time?
That's right. Well, according to this religion, there wasn't any other gods at that time.
No, there was gods. So here's the thing. So ancient Israelites were polytheists.
Right.
Right? So they worshipped other gods. So why do we think that they're talking about the Trinity instead of the other gods that they actually acknowledged at that time?
Because according to the Bible and according to Christianity, there is the one true God. And
so you're coming at it at a Christianity standpoint. I'm just looking at the straight logistics.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm coming. Because if you're going through it as that is the one true God, and the other ones that the Israelites did create were fake, not false gods, whatever you want to call them.
Right, but they didn't believe in that at that time.
Right, and they're wrong for that. Through the viewpoint of Christianity.
Right, but I'm saying don't look at it through Christianity. Right. I'm saying just look at it as someone who knows that at that time they believed in several gods.
Right.
And at that time, it was written in the Bible that Elohim created humans. So why do we think that it's just one God?
Ask your question one more time.
Okay, so at the time, we know that they believed in several gods,
yes.
Right? So why would we think when the Holy Trinity wasn't actually a thing? Because the Holy Trinity only comes when Jesus is a thing.
Right.
So why would we think that they're talking about the Holy Trinity when they worshipped other gods at that time?
Well, because there are other gods, and again, I'm not as biblically versed as I should be, but the other gods that they were worshiping at that time were proven to be false.
Well, they're only false because the Bible says they're false.
Right. And that's still at least the Old Testament, right? Obviously not the New Testament. But the Old Testament is still what the modern day Judaism ascribes to.
Right, but if we take out, let's not look at the Bible, let's look at all religions, right? And they all believed in the same type of gods and multiple gods when the time that they were talking about the Elohim. So my conclusion is that they were talking about all the gods that existed at that time.
So why would that be included then in a book specifically about the one true God?
Well, that's the point, is that it was retranslated.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Way back when they originally wrote it, there were several gods that they were actually talking about. And now, because we're supposed to think that there's only one God that we worship, that we changed that meaning, Elohim, which literally means plural gods, to just mean one God because they think it.
I see. So
the only reason they think Elohim means one God is because Judaism needs it to mean that.
Right. So it's like a way of running cover is basically what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can see why you would go to that conclusion. Yeah, I get it. It's interesting. Because yeah, again, just from like, yeah, it's obviously from my biased perspective.
You also have to look at Hebrew, bro. Hebrew is like a made-up language.
Well, I mean, if you want to be a dick
all
about it,
aren't they all?
Yes. Aren't they all?
But modern Hebrew is completely different than ancient Hebrew.
Is it? I've heard that. Isn't that the case?
It is absolutely the case.
It's one of the most altered languages in the history of like human.
And you have to ask, why did they even bring that language back? No, and it's actually legit. They only brought it back when they wanted to. When the Zionist movement started.
I'm just really happy to hear that you recently got into art school. Yeah. I'm really happy. That's so funny. Right? I get what you're saying. Well, because I would imagine, like, I don't know. First of all, I don't know why, it was a mostly dead language that came back. Like, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So, the Hebrew language in the Bible is tied to the divine right of people, of the chosen people that get this promised land. So, when the Zionist movement started, they recognized that this was like a key point to bringing it back, basically, because how are you going to know that they're
And this is like in the 1880s, right?
1880s, early 1900s.
Yeah.
So they were like, one way to prove that we are these ancient people is if we learn this ancient language, which is a completely different language. But basically, it's essentially they wanted to bring Hebrew back to strengthen their ties to the promised land as the divine people.
Interesting. I was going to say something along those lines, basically, to read their old text, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, and there's tons of shit of just like, so if you take out the Dead Sea Scrolls, right, which I believe are fake.
Why do you think they're fake?
Because it's too many coincidences. Why are they found in 1947 in a cave that's been there for thousands of years with people that have been there for thousands of years? They're just magically found in 1947, and they're magically written in this ancient Hebrew, which would bring back the Hebrew language like 1,000 years, and would credit Hebrew language as the actual writers, the original writers of the Bible, as putting it in the Hebrew language.
Yeah, that gets my conspiracy brain going.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
I don't like that. So, the Israeli government's custody of the Dead Sea Scrolls is disputed by Jordan and the Palestinian Authority on territorial, legal, humanitarian grounds. They were mostly discovered following the Jordanian annexation of the West Bank and were acquired by Israel after Jordan lost the Arab-Israeli War of 1967. Whilst Israel's claims were primarily based on historical and religious grounds, given their significance to Jewish history and the heritage of Judaism, many thousands of written fragments have been discovered in the Dead Sea area. Most have been published together with... okay, doesn't really matter. Most of the manuscripts are written in Hebrew, with some written in Aramaic, for example, the Son of God text, in different regional dialects, including Nabatean, I don't know how to pronounce that, and a few in Greek. Other discoveries from the Judean desert add Latin from Masada and some later Arabic manuscripts from the 7th and 8th centuries. Most of the texts are written on parchment, some on papyrus, and one on copper. Though scholarly consensus dates the Dead Sea Scrolls to between the 3rd century and the 1st century, there are Arabic manuscripts from associated Judean desert sites that have been dated between the 8th and 10th century. I don't love that they were found in 47.
Right. Also, did you know that all 16 fragments that we have in the Washington, D.C. Museum are forgeries?
What do you mean forgeries?
They're documented forgeries.
Like they were changed?
No, like the ones that they bought are not real. Like they were examined as not real.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Why would they ever give us the originals?
Well, just on good faith, on saying that they're real. All the actual real ones that they say are real are in Israel, and they're only investigated by, high Vatican people or Jewish people. And the ones that are out in the world are all fakes. So, that's weird,
That's less weird to me because they've never acted in good faith. That's not surprising at all.
Right, but when it's such a foundational aspect of stuff,
Yeah.
It's a little weird, But yeah, and now we're fighting Iran for them.
Yeah.
Which I would say I'm 100% on Iran's side, dude. Let's fucking do it. Every single time.
Okay, I can't let you get away with that. Why are you on Iran's side?
Because, dude, every single time that we do a coup or we're going to war for somebody, it's because they're trying to nationalize their resources.
Okay, yes, I agree.
But
me questioning this, by the way, is not me saying we're doing the right thing. I just want to make that so clear.
No, but I kind of okay, so it goes back to if we're talking about Iran, it goes back to 1901 where they were ruled by the British, right? And that's when they started taking all their oil. They basically fucked them with their rights. They were taking, I think, more than 90% of the actual profits from the oil. Iran, after I don't know how many years, they want to actually nationalize their oil. And then in 1953, we do a coup because they want to nationalize their oil. And then we overthrow that regime so that it basically, the leader will do what we say that they want to do. And every time a country doesn't do that, we say that they're terrorists. And then they act in terrorist ways, and we question why, And it's just we're nationalizing, they're trying to nationalize their resources. We're going in there, we're taking them from them, and then we're questioning why they're retaliating.
I will say this. I will say this, not necessarily in defense of America, but just or Israel really, but just as a question mark to it. Because I genuinely don't know the answer, right? Why did Iran hit Qatar, Bahrain?
Well, it's because we have all of our bases in there. They're all compliant with the westernized ideologies.
Right, okay, but they hit next to our naval base in Bahrain and in Kuwait. Or they hit our base in Kuwait. But they didn't hit any of our bases in... I don't know if we have bases in Jordan.
Well, again, it's because they're working with us.
We might have FOBs or COPs. Or something. I don't have any COPs. We might have a FOB out there or something. But we don't have... I don't know if we have bases in Jordan.
Well, what you need to know is that these people are completely against the Western civilization type of thing. So when I say Western civilization, what I'm meaning really is Zionism, right?
Right.
And what Zionists do is they come in.
Yeah, we do. That's right. The salty air race. That's right.
Yeah. They'll take your resources and they'll demoralize your country. And so that's happened all around Iran.
Right, that's right. I was wrong.
And they hate that. They hate that that's happening. And they've been the stronghold for I don't know how many decades.
But don't you think that that's a huge strategic blunder to be hitting more countries that aren't directly involved? Yes, they're Western sympathetic. Yes, we pay all of these countries obviously Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, Bahrain. We pay all these countries to not fuck with Israel. I totally get that. But isn't it counterintuitive to then go and bomb those bases on the pretense that they're not directly involved with striking you? That's I go and I punch you in the face, right? And then a week later, you see me at a show or whatever, and you just start punching out every comedian because they're associated with me. Is that not a bad move?
I don't know. It depends how you look at it. I mean... I'm being very honest. It's every single country is adopting these morals and these ways of living, and basically, Iran doesn't like it, And every other country. I mean, you look at these countries that we have bases in. See if they actually want us there, Right.
Oh no, I
guarantee
completely
you
agree
they
with
don't.
that. So are you seeing this through the frame, because obviously we killed their Ayatollah.
Bad move.
And yeah, I agree. And from what I understand, is the Iranian people hold their Ayatollah kind of in the same
regards.
In the same regard as like a pope, right? It's like a version of a pope, right? It's a religious figure and a governmental figure. So through this lens that you're describing, and I'm not inclined to disagree with you, by the way, I'm not. Would it then be fair to say that they are seeing these other countries that are taking American money to not fuck with Israel, that they are like betrayers of Islam?
Exactly.
Okay.
But not only betrayers of Islam, but just betrayers of
their way
freedom.
Of like their way of life.
Yeah, freedom, their way of life. They as soon as Israel was established, that messed with the Middle East. Yeah, they were fighting for hundreds of years tribes-wise, and I don't know if that'll ever get solved. We might just have to let them figure it out. But as soon as Israel was established, Israel was the main enemy.
Yeah.
And ever since then, Iran has noticed that and has noticed that, first of all, we should establish that Israel is just an extension of the USA.
Yeah.
And they realize that, and they see that, and they don't want that. So why not let them build their country however they want? They're only radical because we basically take their fucking resources and shit like that. If we left them alone, if we didn't support Israel, let's see if they still chant death to America. You know what I mean? They chanted death to British before Israel.
Right.
It's because whoever's fucking occupying their land and taking their resources, that's who they hate.
I'd agree. I'd agree with that for sure. And it's interesting because even with everything you just said, in the weeks leading up to the strike that happened last weekend, the Iranian government, obviously the Ayatollah, they had come to the negotiation table.
Yeah.
And they were like, listen, not only are we going to give you concessions that exceed the JCPOA, we're going to actually enter into more diplomatic conversations about the Strait of Hormuz. And we're willing to do all of these things. And because they not only were they going to exceed the JCPOA, they were going to completely get rid of nuclear proliferation just to get rid of the problem. And I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. Could you imagine and this is my opinion, is the clear evidence that, if nothing else, let's say we didn't know about Epstein, right? We just heard about it. Or like we don't have like the evidence, you know what I mean? This is the clear evidence that Israel has blackmail in our country. Because could you imagine, because Trump obviously is driven by ego. Could you imagine the hero he would be if he went to the negotiation table with the Iranians, and when those negotiations ended, he was able to tell not just the American people, but the world. He was able to tell everyone, hey, listen, just got done meeting with our brand new partners over in Iran. No more nuclear proliferation at all over there. And we're able to get more oil distributed from the Strait of Hormuz. How fucking cool is that? Look what I just did. That is the diplomatic victory of the century. But instead, we bomb them. And I just think about that specific fact, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're blackmailed. There's no other answer.
And why do we want to take out Iran? We never even asked that, It's all because they're the prime source of terrorism or all this other stuff.
Oh, the number one state sponsor of terrorism or whatever?
It's like there's no legit reason we're over there besides Israel.
Israel.
The only reason.
They don't even have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They have
even
continental.
If they had I kind of support them having a nuke if they can. I don't know how you promise not to use a nuke we have for how many years now?
Right.
Why don't we fuck with North Korea? They have a nuke.
Right.
Yeah. That's the main reason. That's the main reason Israel doesn't want them to have a nuke, is because we know we won't fuck with them after that.
At least North Korea admits they have nukes.
Yeah.
Israel's got upwards of 300. And officially they don't. Even though the Samson option is on the books. What are we talking about here?
Blackmailed. USA, a blackmailed country, bro.
It's like there's a comedian in town. His name's Trey Holland. He's a funny motherfucker. He has a joke when the Epstein files were coming out, and I wish I thought of this, dude. And he does this way better than I can imitate it. But he's like, the only way we can get Trump to come out about the blackmail and come out about the Epstein files and what really happened is if all the Americans come together for like a week and we just pretend that pedophilia is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because I'm the biggest pedophile. But yeah, it's like, if I was Thomas Massey, honestly, like towards the end of my term, I can't get reelected, I would introduce a bill to Congress, and I'd be like, listen, this bill basically says that if Donald Trump admits to all of his crimes, he is given a pardon by the American people. We just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And just at the, you know what I mean? Just introduce that bill.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, dude. I hope Thomas Massey is the guy, because if he's not, I don't know who is, you know?
Well, the Republicans, they're all tainted by the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Like all the ones that they're, okay, not all of them, but the ones that are being propositioned to be the next presidential candidate.
J.D.
Vance, Marco Rubio.
Owned by Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance.
Yeah. And I haven't read enough about that, to be honest with you, but I've seen the peripheral stuff about it, and it scares me. But like Vance, Rubio, he'll never be president, but Hegseth, Ted Cruz will never be president, but Ted Cruz, Huckabee, all the usual suspects that will run for president, they're all tainted in one way or another by the Epstein files, this new Iranian war, or both. It covers all of them. And whether it's because they're directly involved in the files or they've been involved in the cover-up, like they're all tainted by it. So you really need a guy like Thomas Massey, because he's really the only one that's banging the drum on the Republican side. Obviously, they got that massive vote to get the Epstein Transparency Files or Transparency Act put out.
Yeah.
Sure. But the top dogs in the administration have been running cover basically since he got inaugurated. But then honestly, dude, like, you look at the Democratic Party, there's no universe where I'm voting for Gavin Newsom.
I just hope there's some kind of uprising or something before the next election. I mean, something. I don't know what's going to happen. But.
I could tell you what's going to happen, honestly. If we're being realistic, I think. Save a nuclear war or some kind of revolution, some crazy shit pops up.
Is this including the World War thing that might happen or no?
I don't think, I mean, I'll be honest, dude, I don't think a world war is going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. If the Russia-Ukraine thing didn't spark a nuclear war, I don't think this is going to. I think
it depends on China. I think if China takes Taiwan, something might happen.
Yeah, okay. So because I think personally that the Ukrainian war, Russia war is a bigger deal than Iran, Israel, US. That's just more Middle East meddling, in my opinion. And I think Russia, North Korea, China, India, I think they're all smart enough to know that, like, that's just some fuckery. It's going to continue to happen no matter what. Like, I don't think they want to get involved in that. Because I think most of those dictators know that nuclear war is bad for everybody. So if they're not going to do unless they feel threatened. And I think the only way that they're going to feel threatened, even in, like, the slightest bit, is going to be if the Strait of Hormuz it's shut down right now, but if it's, like, prolonged and they start to send whatever. So maybe there, but I'm not convinced. I was more convinced on the Russia-Ukraine thing, because if Ukraine was to beat Russia in the way that they said they were going to, which anyone who believed that's a fucking idiot. Like, anyone who didn't see this as a complete total stalemate, like, come on. But that one was going to lead to World War III, I think, quicker than the other one. But yeah, I just think that China, North Korea, India, I think they all know that, well, the war in Russia and Ukraine is starting to bankrupt Russia a little bit. Now this whole Iranian thing is really messing up Iran, obviously. So the BRICS is starting to fall apart a little bit, which is a good thing. Now, the means to the end aren't great, obviously. They're actually quite bad. Very bad. But BRICS is starting to fall apart. So that weakens the probability of World War III, except for China and Taiwan.
Yeah.
That's the last worrying one. If China sees what's going on and moves on Taiwan, well, first of all, I don't think, credit where it's due, I don't think that's going to happen because of Trump, personally. If they see that Trump is crazy enough to go take Maduro, and then he's crazy enough to just kill the Ayatollah and all of his war party like that, I think that is a bit of a deterrent to China. Because even though China is a way different country, they're on the other side of the world and all of that, I think that if China tries to move on Taiwan, we do something big that does end up with most of their government dead, but then there's your World War III.
It's weird because we've never even thought about war with China in my lifetime. You know what I mean? It's always been like China's the bad guy, Russia's the bad guy.
Yeah.
But just don't touch them because they're too big to fuck with.
Yeah.
So I can't really imagine that. I can imagine that with Iran because they're a big country, but it's like compared to the U.S. they're not much. But with China, I mean,
the scary thing,
I don't know. I just don't see us being able to do that same kind of strike that we did with Ayatollah.
Well, we don't win a prolonged...
Rest in peace, Ayatollah.
We don't win a prolonged war with China. That's the issue. Every war game the Pentagon has ran, we lose. And it has to be something that's quick, decisive. It's done in a matter of weeks. It can't be a prolonged thing. The further prolonged out it is, the worse it is for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the war of attrition because of the amount of space between countries and so on and so forth. Oh, fuck, dude.
I guess then you get into if you believe all these wars are planned and if there's a...
Well, because I'm
all
sure
the bankers are behind it, like how they have been forever.
So I'm sure you've heard this, right? Where it's the big thing that made them want to, aside from the Israel issue, that made them want to take Iran right now and do the strikes that they did is because of how well Venezuela went and the hubris it's been building in the administration.
Yeah, they got the support of the people for the most part.
No, not at all.
I would say for Venezuela, most of the Trump people were... Anyone who supported Trump was with it.
For Venezuela, it was only about 60% of Trump supporters. With this one, it's about 40%.
Yeah.
So it's dwindling quick. 80% of the country wants no war. Right? So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought about this. And I guess it is a logical escalation of things. If they saw what happened in Venezuela and they were like, okay, that was really good, we can do Iran. Iran seems to be going okay right now. Still don't agree with it. But as far as objectives are going, whatever they think their fucking objectives are, I don't think they have objectives. But if you were to map out...
I think they're just trying to disrupt Iran and get it into a fucking...
civil war.
Civil war
For
to
sure.
where it's easy to rule.
We're going to arm the Kurds.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Just like we armed Hamas, just like we armed ISIS, just like we armed all these other fucking
how
people.
we armed the Kurds and then betrayed them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the headline was literally the CIA is planning to arm the Kurds.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if Iran...
Isn't that funny how we always arm the fucking people that we fight against later?
Yeah.
Like we armed Osama during the fucking 80s or whatever.
Every time. Every fucking time. So then, what if they see this... Whatever in their brain calculates to this went well for like the next 3 or 4 weeks, what's the next big target other than Iran?
I don't know. We're on some imperial shit, dude.
We are.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. Dude, we started with the Gulf of America, Greenland. I don't know what's going on. Fucking.
I wish we could go back to Greenland, dude. Can we just talk about that again? Let's buy Greenland. I'm down for buying Greenland.
If they're willing, yes.
Yeah, if they're willing to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just walk up to somebody's house and be like, hey, I'm buying this.
That's what he wanted to do. He was like, yeah, it was ours in the past. We'll just take it again.
I love Shane Gillis's bit about that. Green.
Yeah. It must be green.
But yeah, I will say this, though. Not to sound like a liberal, but to sound like a liberal for a little bit. We just have to make it to November.
What's legit, in November?
The midterms.
What the fuck happens during the midterms?
A bunch of congressional seats are up.
Dude, the only thing that happens during the midterms is that now we can force the blame on the Democrats.
No. Watch.
No, look, now we have all of the seats and everything that we want to do. Or if we wanted to do something, we should have the power to do it. And anytime it goes against public opinion, it's bad. If we have a split House or a split Congress, whatever you want to call it, then we can always just blame the other side, the Democrats or Republicans or whatever, for not getting shit done.
So, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I do see what you're saying. But sorry, before I make this point, you see that Dan Crenshaw
Lost.
Yeah, got primaried out.
Yeah, fuck that guy, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking fake ass Navy SEAL.
Yeah, fuck that dude. But my point is that when Congress flips blue, Trump's going to get impeached.
I would hope so, but it doesn't matter because then we have JD Vance.
Yes, but do you then think because of I think that if Trump gets impeached because of a flipped Congress, JD Vance's presidency is pretty much stalled. Nothing happens.
You're talking about for 2020s?
No. For like when he's
he's not able to get shit done.
No.
Yeah.
He's not
I'm saying that's the point.
Yeah, which is good.
No, I would say that's good for them for not having to take credit or not having to take responsibility for anything.
No, because they're going to go into the 2028 election already with you guys supported the Iran war, you guys covered up the Epstein files, like, you guys had all of that. Like, that's still going to carry with them into 2028.
Right.
But hopefully all this madness stops. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think it will.
Now, I'm not saying the Democratic answer is a good one. I think it's all fucked.
So are you saying that once the Democrats win the House, things will be better?
Not better. No. Okay, not better. No. If the House and the Senate flip blue, which I think they will, personally, if they flip blue, Trump gets impeached. This is petty, but I'm glad he'll get impeached. It'll hurt his ego, personally. But he gets impeached, turned out. Congress is blue. The Republicans can't get a whole lot done. They're not getting anything done anyway with a red Congress, so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Because anything good they said they were going to do is not getting through.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So right now, you know how the Epstein files isn't coming out?
I see what you're saying.
So now they can blame that on the Democrats.
It's not going to work.
But no, they can say that that's what it is.
But it's not going to work.
Why wouldn't it work?
Because it's not working right now.
Because we have the. So right now, what I'm saying is that all of America wants Epstein files out, right?
Yes.
The Republicans have the full power to do that.
Right.
And it looks very bad on Republicans because they can do it, but they're not doing it.
Right.
If the Democrats win the midterms, now they can blame them for shit that's not coming out.
Right. So I understand. I understand the train of thought.
Yeah.
But I think because of how bad this new presidency has gone or this new administration has gone for Trump and how bad of a president he's been, I don't think that, because that is the traditional train of thought. It's like, well, we can't do it because they got it. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think that works anymore. I think people, because of social media, because of the access to information that we have and the amount of information we're getting, I think that, because you're right, that will be the playbook.
But do they think that it works is the thing?
Yes.
I know we'll see right through it.
Yes.
But are they going to do it thinking that
Yes, they will do it anyway. But just like with the Epstein files, where they clearly underestimated how much it meant to people for that to come out, like they underestimated the importance of that to not only their voter base, but even to people in the middle and on the Democrats, right? They completely underestimated how important that was to them, right? In the same way that they underestimated how important the non-interventionalism is. So, when they try to run that playbook back and they say, well, we can't release the Epstein files anymore because the Democrats are in, well, then the American people are going to see right through that. And then you're going to see people on the Democrat side in power that are going to be like, hey, you're full of shit.
Maybe.
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, how many Democrats are not... Rokon and Massey are the only people in both parties that are speaking out about it.
Yes.
So why would Democrats not...
Correct. But when it came down to a vote, it was overwhelmingly positive. It was like 426-1.
That is true. So, I mean, I guess we would just see.
Yeah.
You know, I just see it as like a scapegoat of like how they could get shit done while blaming the American people, basically.
What do you mean?
So basically, just because they voted the Democrats in or whatever, now that's the position of the American
for
people.
Not getting things done. Yeah, they're gonna try it for sure. Like, cause figure he gets impeached by this time next year. That's 27. Elections are in 28.
Which I don't think it matters if he gets impeached. You know, I really don't. I don't think anything changes, dude. Fucking, have we not talked about Jared Kushner, bro? He's the one controlling everything. In the Epstein files, it said that he was the one controlling.
He's the brains
Trump
of the operation.
Yeah, like that should absolutely be exposed.
I wonder. I think this is what I'm about to say. I think is a stretch. Okay, I'm going to caveat by saying that. I think it's a stretch. But much in the same way that Trump and his administration, they take out Maduro, now they're doing Iran. They feel like they can get away with more and more and more. In that same kind of train of thought, I wonder if the Democrats, let's say they manage to impeach Trump and they get rid of him. He's out of office. I wonder if they're able to impeach his cabinet too.
Is that, I've never even heard of that. Is that a thing?
I think it is. Let me look it up really quick.
But again, what does it even fucking matter, dude? I don't want a Democrat in power. I don't want a Republican in power.
Yes, Congress has the authority to impeach their cabinet members as long as they are considered civil officers of the United States under Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution.
They can be impeached.
The House of Representatives can impeach for treason, bribery, or high crimes or misdemeanors, followed by a Senate trial. And through this, though this is rare, with only 2 cabinet secretaries formally impeached in U.S. history, William Belknap and Mayorkas. Mayorkas was the Secretary of Homeland Security impeached by the House. So I wonder if they even try that. That's my curiosity. But you say nothing will happen. Maybe on like an actual policy level or like the way the country operates. Sure. I mean, I mostly agree. I'm like 80% there. I agree with you. I just wonder what happens to the Republican Party to see, Trump get taken out.
I just hope that this Epstein file shit is big enough to collapse the parties.
Same.
You know what I mean? It's like, we need to get away from this 2-party system that's bought by the same lobbyists.
But there's so much money in it that even if it does come down, let's say it comes down, what is next?
Rebuild of government. I mean, we have to rebuild the government on people who are all nationalists.
But who decides
They have to be the people. Well, I think one thing that would solve a lot is if we make sure that you can't have dual citizenship and serve in Congress. You can't serve and be a dual citizen.
Right. But before we get into the minutia of it, who makes these decisions? It can't just be the people. That's the problem. We're too big now.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
It's way too big. So who? And I think, because I like on paper, I agree with you. Like, we need to get rid of this.
But how do we find that person with so many different views?
How do we find that person? A, if we've already taken out this other party of government or this other form of government, how do they not immediately get killed if people don't like them for whatever reason? B, and C, my natural inclination is to believe that if this 2-party system collapses, whatever comes afterwards is fully funded by big corporations, big tech, all the same, like. Because you look at the political parties and our way of government, if our country is a body, the way of government is the muscle. And if all the muscle falls off, the skeleton is still there. Mm-hmm. The nervous system is still there. That's tech, corporations, lobbyists, military-industrial complex, big farm, all these guys, all of them. And whatever gets replaced, or whatever replaces what we have right now, I think is going to be funded by, you know what I mean? America has gotten so big and has gotten so interconnected with itself. And this is removing foreign influence, right? Good and bad. But whatever replaces it, I think is going to be just as... If we have our own regime change, it's going to be just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, I mean, I think there just needs to be rules with stuff like that. Like I said, if you start with a few things that would be big is, banning dual citizenship.
Yes.
if you make sure that every single person that's serving is a nationalist and has the country's, well-being in thought while they're actually making all their decisions. As far as how you can actually elect these people,
the only way
I don't know.
The only way this works, and this is a decades-long, if not centuries-long project, truly, like we won't ever see it.
Mm-hmm.
Country falls apart. Excuse me. Country falls apart. Country divides into smaller countries, ruled by different sects of government. And maybe after 70, 80 years of infighting, borders changing inside the government, or inside the continent, rather. Let's say we all get divided up into 7 different things, and then eventually down the line, 2 of them merge, 3 of them merge, and then maybe something of a resemblance of America comes back. But if this 2-party system falls apart because there's no way that it falls apart peacefully. Like it just can't. It just can't, right? It's a nice thing to think about.
Once people understand why the 2-party system doesn't work, then they'll understand that the government is just false, and
right.
You can't rely on anything like that.
Agreed. But there's no way that pleasantly falls apart.
Right. Yeah, no. And
so we end up looking like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Like it's just whenever our time is up, and it's soon, hopefully not, because it's either we continue being ruled the way we are,
or we become a global empire.
I don't think that happens.
We're trying it.
I don't think it happens.
I think we're doing it silently, through the Monroe Doctrine and all this shit. We're like silently.
Oh, the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
The Monroe Doctrine?
Yeah. It basically gives us permission, or gives us control of all the southern hemisphere of the western hemisphere. Basically, make sure that Russia, China, all these other people can't claim land.
And, right.
Come into all these Latin countries.
Yeah.
Basically, it's almost like saying that we own all this stuff without actually owning it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man.
But I see it like how you're saying. It's either a complete destruction of the empire or it grows.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
And this is selfish. But if I have to choose between all or nothing, dude, I think I'm going with all.
Yeah, I'm ready for the government to fall apart. I know there's going to be civil war. And
No. I'm saying, like, if all means we try world dominance.
Oh, you want world dominance?
Or nothing is the civil war. Dude, I like my way of life.
Yeah, I understand that.
And at the end of the day, I want to be comfortable. And a part of me, and I would never advocate for war. And I would never advocate for regime change war, because there's other ways. There is an option 3. You know what I mean? Like, I know we're talking doom and gloom right now, but there is an option 3. We lost option 3 with Iran, okay? But whatever comes out of this, I still believe there can be an option 3, where it's like we get somebody in the presidency who says, "Fuck all of this. We're not doing this interventional shit anymore." And they try to do. Now they're gonna get assassinated. Okay,
so it would be we rule everything, but it's not interventional.
No. As in no. So I'm saying option 3 is still there. In my opinion.
Gotcha.
Where it's like a Thomas Massey gets in there, gets us all out of war, negotiates with people, all that type of stuff. Like, just does the bare minimum that a president should be doing to preserve the life of the people of his countrymen, right? But if that is not on the table, and I have to choose between try at world domination or civil war internally, looks like we're doing Terminator, dude.
I'm against that, but I would just say the only reason is because once you achieve that world domination, then what do you have? You have one world government. You have Zionism everywhere.
The globalists.
You have everything that we're fighting against now.
But is it so bad if the Jews win?
Yes.
It's only bad because the Jews are losing. What if the Jews win?
Well, then the Goyim don't run around the earth if the Jews win.
That is a good point that Fuentes brought up in an episode a while ago where he was talking about how, we're basically building. This is why that our Iran war is bad.
That's what they see our purpose.
He's like, we're building our own superpower to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
every single time we kill an Ayatollah, we create a bigger one. You know what I mean? It's like we're creating our own destruction.
Yeah. I think so, man. Well, listen, dude, it's been about 3 hours.
Fuck yeah, dude.
A little less.
I think we did it. I would just like to say that I'm not, I don't hate Jews. I just hate Jewish supremacy. I am anti-Semitic, but just know that shit needs to change.
Yeah, it needs to change, dude. I don't know I don't know what's going to happen, man.
Also, Israelites are also anti-Semitic, so fuck you.
Yeah, this is true. Like, definitionally, this is true. Well, I know I'll have you back here in a couple weeks, probably.
Yes, we'll actually talk about music and shit.
With the like gay shit that you do on the side. Eventually, I'll convince you to do stand-up comedy, and then you'll be a comedian and a musician, and life will be good. How can people support you and your fucking band, dude?
I mean, if you listen this long and you care about it, it's Slums of Harvard. Slums of Harvard, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. Listen to us. But more importantly is we're talking about this Jewish supremacy shit. So start to learn all your shit, research it, and don't understand why we're being conquered.
Don't vote for people that are funded by AIPAC.
Yeah, fuck them.
Or take money from AIPAC. Don't do it. Yeah, man. Well, glad to have you.
Okay, thank you for having me, dude.
Dude, it's always good talking to you.
Sucks that the world's fucking going to shit, but maybe there's a way out somehow.
I hope so. I don't want to live through the Civil War, dude. I like my life. It's pretty sick. Look at all this cool shit that I have.
Yeah, it's all going to be worth nothing.
We'll be doing this in a Civil War and there's fucking bombs going off and shit. Well, there's bombs going off anyway in this part of town, but this is awesome, man. You're awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.